welcome back. I'm here with a great friend of mine for this episode of the Pressing Forward podcast. Today we've got United States Marine turned Army Black Hawk pilot, Michael
All
Matter,
right.
dude. Let's. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I've been busy. Uh, Things are a lot different than what they were in 2009. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
that is
Yeah.
true. I mean, you still look as this extremely handsome as ever, and I know you're still
Uh,
lifting and staying Mr. Fit, always who you were. So it's good to see we obviously have talked to each other since then. I'm pretty fortunate that I've been able to keep in touch with a lot of the guys that we served with in every aspect, even some of the most junior guys that were around. And you and I we're in the same fucking time and spent quite a bit of time together. So
yeah, you could say
we'll
that. Yeah.
we'll get into that.
Cool.
But let's just start it off and how I usually get into things. Um, I just ask you where you're from and what life was like growing up.
Oh yeah. I'm from where I am now, actually down the street. So from Phoenix, Arizona. Grew up in Glendale, Arizona. Pretty much all the way through till I joined the Marines in 2009. Um, I guess growing up, it was typically normal. Parents, suburban life, were together for most of my life. Parents got divorced when I was 8, and lived with my dad and my mom split. Uh, no contact with my dad anymore, uh, besides a couple of times. He wasn't exactly the best father like most, pretty much everybody else that exists. There's not a whole lot of good dads out there, with the exception of you, of course. But
No, come
the
on, I'm not the
no, no, my dad was a turd. But I actually ran into him here at, like, I was getting a drug test done at for APS doing nuclear security. Actually, I was leaving APS to go teach ROTC at Grand Canyon University, and I ran into my dad. I hadn't seen him since I was 16. Um, Besides one time I ran into him at the bowling alley, but I just yelled at his
So
face.
hold on. You're how old when this happens when you bumped into your dad again?
I didn't see him since I was 16 because
Right, right. And then what and how old were you when you saw him this time that you were leaving your
so it was actually right after our first Afghan deployment in 2000, and what was that, 11? Um, I This is the first time I ran into him. I was like maybe 21 at the time, I think is what it was. But I ran into him at the bowling alley, and he was like saying some stuff he shouldn't have said. So I waited for him to come outside. And, like, I'm all tatted up at this point. I don't look
Yeah.
like I did when I was 16. I was like a little chubby kid when I was 16.
Yeah.
And I just waited for him to come outside. It was like, I don't know, man. It was like a fucking PT Cruiser or something. And I, like, waited for him, and I just got in his face and started, like, yelling at him, telling him everything I thought about him, that he shouldn't be running his mouth about me. He doesn't know who I am. And then he's just like, Michael? Like, he didn't even
That's
realize it was me.
crazy. That's crazy.
Um, and then I told him
Oh
off,
shit.
but then that was so up until then, I didn't run into him again until, man, it was just like a year ago. A little over a year ago. We had like we kind of made up, and I actually asked him out for a beer. So I took him out for a beer. Told him not there to, like, make amends, just like we're both adult. Like, it's been a long time. Everyone changes, and we had it was a good talk. And since then, maybe shared a couple text messages, but that's the extent of
Dude,
it.
that's fucking progress though, man. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can relate in the sense that my dad didn't, it wasn't as severe as that, but I've had the breaks in time and lapse in time where I talk to my dad. I go basically I think all of junior year or something of high school. I mean, him and my mom split up, and there would be times where I wouldn't see him for a couple months at a time. Not a couple months, but it was not as bad. I'm not trying to say that, but I understand
Mhm.
how that gets kind of tarnished. My dad, like, even now to this day, we've had a couple of times where you don't talk to each other for a few weeks, you don't talk to each other for a month or two, and it's um And you're like, what the fuck, man? We are adults now. We got to move
Yep.
a little bit forward. But I think in
Mhm.
your situation, that's kind of that's intense, dude. And for you guys to be able to try to do something about it, that's what's most important. Like,
Oh, your audio cut out for a second. Can you hear me?
no, sorry, I was on mute. She
Okay.
came downstairs
Uh,
and said something. Um, Apologize for that. But what you're saying with dads, like, for you to
no,
be
it's
able to,
just yeah, it's just like after so long, and we were like crazy kids back then, pretty much all of us were. And there's a lot of growing up that happens, between 16 and, I think at the time 31. So I got to a point where I was just like, you know what? He's getting older, I'm getting older. I don't want like him to grow old to the point where, I don't want like he obviously didn't have what it takes to like come to me, so I like went to him. And it's just crazy how like the roles reverse like that. And I think it was a good thing, and I've been waiting to do it for a while. So just running into him ironically randomly, like when I happen to be home, when I've been out of the country, like, or the state for the majority of the last 15 years or 10 years. So it's no, it was good. My mom was obviously like super super shocked, and because I'm a total mama's boy now. That's why I live down the street from her and my stepdad now. But
yeah.
that was
Is that the same place that I came and we stayed at? Is that still the same house?
yeah,
Everyone's
same
back at the
house.
same house? Okay, for sure.
Yeah, same place.
Solid spot, solid spot. So I mean, that time frame growing up, like, so you hadn't seen your dad since you were 16 years old. We'll jump back. Like, what's it like finishing up high school and then making the decision to go into the Marine Corps? And, like, are you thinking about the relationship with your dad, or is it just like whatever, it's not, I'm not worried about that right now.
Yeah, man. Well, when my parents got divorced, and then like through, I guess it was kind of, I was like kind of a normal kid. But then when we like my mom got full custody, and we got a restraining order against him and everything, that's when I like turned into like a total teenage dirtbag. Like, you know, I was probably like doing things I shouldn't have been doing. Like in and out of jobs constantly, just blowing my money. I was an asshole kid, terrible in school. My brother was like the golden child. And I was actually I was working at the mall at Sears, in an Arrowhead Mall in Arizona, and I was already in DEP in the Air Force, in the delayed entry program. But this fucking Staff Sergeant Del Rio, this Marine recruiter, would always walk by Sears to go into his recruiting office, which is like right next to Sears.
Hmm.
And he'd come in there every day, and I was like, I probably only worked there for like 6 months. I got fired for like flipping off of security cameras. But they he used to walk by the office every day and be like, come in my office and do pull-ups. And I'm like, no, man, like I'm not joining the Marines. I'm joining the Air Force. I was supposed to be an aircraft load master. And one day, man, I was just like, you know what? Sure, I'll go in there and do some pull-ups. I probably got like three, at the time. But that's all it fucking took, dude. One conversation, and he walked over to the Air Force recruiter office. I think her name was like Staff Sergeant Fincham or something. And I just heard yelling in the office. I think it's like a big no-no to like switch depths from
Oh
branches.
yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. And then right then I said, I want to be in the Marine Corps, and I wanted like combat engineer or infantry. And I waited 9 more months to pick up that job. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'd always wanted to. I'm not going to say that like I wanted to join the military because I had nothing else going on. I just always felt like there's a higher calling, or there was something more to life than what I was doing. I was like in a rut, obviously like a teenage rut. Um, and I just didn't feel enabled. I didn't want to do like the typical like 9 to 5 bullshit and
Right.
the grind. And then obviously, you know, immediately I was like, oh, what the fuck did I do? But
Well, what
overall,
about, like, if I can cut you off real quick, I apologize.
yeah.
Like, I want to jump back before we get too far. Like,
Mhm.
obviously we're all GWAT babies, so like, what was it like, you know, when that happened and like did you have any, when the Twin Towers were hit, when the Pentagon got hit, when the flights went down, did that have any factor? I mean, subconsciously down, like maybe then, but down the road, did you think back to that?
Yeah, I remember I was in a Lutheran school at the time, ironically. Maybe that has something to do with why I turned into a dirtbag. But I was going to a Lutheran school, and I remember I was in class when it happened. Obviously there was like some angst and some anger about it, but I remember being like too young to fully understand and grasp it. I think not until like my teenage years did I like come to like the realization that like what happened, that there's bad people out there, that I wanted to do like something about it. I wanted to do what I could do about it. Um, but to be honest, like from back then, man, like I couldn't even process it. Like when I was that
Mm,
young, I just knew it was a terrible thing. Um, and, uh, and I felt like a higher calling, but it wasn't a direct result of that. I actually probably get to it. I just went to the Pentagon like a couple weeks ago and I saw where the towers hit. It was unbelievable, by the way. There's a great memorial there.
yeah.
But yeah, not directly, but eventually, obviously, played a big part for all of us. So
Yeah, I agree. So that staff sergeant got you, he wrangled you in, and you're on your way to Marine Corps boot camp. What year is this, and what's that initial thought going through your head?
so it was October 19th, 2009, when I left. Like I said, it's like the official day. I was, man, I'll tell you, it totally transformed me. But like right off the bat, I was like, oh shit, like what did I do? I was MCRD. I think were you MCRD or you Parasailing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was some shit in San Diego. Yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, I still remember like little bits and pieces of MCRD, and I actually went back to work at the depot, like at the end of my at the Paris Island depot at the end. But um, I remember like the most vivid memory was like that bus ride, where they're just like screaming when you get off the bus and the key gets up there and you're looking at this guy and he looks like a god. You're
yeah,
just like what like he gets up there
yeah.
and his like tight little and his and they're just like way too small of shirts that they're wearing. They're like Charlie's, and they just can't see their eyes, and they're screaming at you, and they're poking you in the face with their campaign covers. And man, at that point, I was like, oh, like I just like receiving was by far like the worst part of boot camp. But
It was
I
chaotic.
went with
It was
it
like
was yeah
such a thrown into the abyss. And I remember being in my shower like before I left for boot camp, and I was like sitting down I was like, dear God, if I go through this, like I'm going into the I was just I swear this is a true story. I was like, if I'm going into the unknown, like, please guide me to do the best that like, I was fucking scared, dude. I was like
yeah it was
nervous as
scary.
fuck, man. And
Yeah.
yeah. So sorry. Go ahead. Go on.
And you feel so small, like you're like you're just like a robot. You're just like doing what you don't want to be seen. You're trying to like
Yeah.
I was a pretty good gray man. I took pride in that back then,
Oh,
like
I
not
was
try
not.
not to be noticed. Oh, I'm sure your
I
personality probably
mean,
came out right away.
yeah.
I
I
we'll
mean,
probably get to that. Yeah,
yeah.
but you're I was like humbled for sure, and where I just see because I used to see those recruits when I worked at PI, and I'm like, man, I look like that. Like God,
Yeah.
like they look like they look like little children on the school
I
bus.
know. I know. Well, when
But
you were at Paris Island, you were a CMI, or you were a combat marksmanship instructor, weren't you?
yeah,
Yeah.
so I started off as like the table two marksmanship instructor, and then I
Okay.
became like a block and then a black shirt in the crucible afterwards,
Nice.
like towards the
Okay.
end. So I got to see them all do the live fire stuff. But
I guess that's a little farther down the road, but
yeah, yeah.
so yeah, you you get off those, but like, what was it about receiving I mean, well, I guess but what
Holding the
was your
fucking
most
sea bags, dude. Remember that shit? Holding the sea bags up,
it was
like
it as
out
they were
in the
putting
hallway.
was it they like put all your shit in there and then you stand there and you gotta like hold your like double strap, you like hold your sea bag out, or you don't. I
Yeah,
don't know. I
dude.
don't.
God. It's like our shoulders are just like on fire. But no, I mean, I went with my best friend. So we actually joined together. Ryan Gardner. He re-enlisted. He was a combat instructor at Pendleton.
Yeah. No, I know. I
I don't
talked
know
to
if you remember
Gardner.
Gardner. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, dude. He got out like what, 2 years ago or something, or 4 years?
yeah,
Not too long ago. I know he got out. He stayed in.
yeah. I still hang out with him, man. We still see each other,
Nice.
you know.
I know he's got
Yeah,
the family now. The kids are getting bigger and
yeah,
everything. It's wild.
yeah. He got his. I think he got medically retired for some stuff, but yeah, I think we play golf together sometimes, you know, play Warzone. He's really bad at it, but yeah, all this we joined together, so it brought some light to the whole thing. You know, I remember we used to fuck with each other a lot, and remember like the hygiene inspections
Oh
like
yeah, when you do
before bed.
your
Yeah.
fucking whatever.
One
Yeah.
one of the craziest memories is like I was like across from him on the other side of the deck, and his like balls are out. He didn't know it though. And like they're like in the DI is like coming down the line, and he's like everyone's like snap or whatever, pop. You flip your hands over and they look
Yeah,
at
yeah.
you and make. And I was like trying to nod to him like, bro, your balls are out. And fucking DI comes right in front of him. Just he's like, what the fuck are your fucking balls hanging out of your underwear, recruit? And just like I was cracking
Mm.
up, dude. We got lit up for that. But we used to drink canteens before we went to bed, and we'd like whoever woke up first would wake the other guy up, and we'd go like write letters, like hide in like the shower and like write letters
Oh,
back
dude,
home.
I thought that I would get away with that one night. My a good buddy of mine, well, a couple of them, they would send me wrapped in the letter like a tear out of some like Playboy or Hustler magazine, you know, it's like some naked girl. So I thought, I mean, one day I was just feeling it. I was like, I am so fucking, I need to rub one out. So I take this fucking envelope that's got just like a bunch of cutouts of just fucking Playboy models or whatever, and I'm in the last stall, and there's no doors on the stall, right? And I'm
No,
sitting
no.
there just ripping it, and this kid's fucking mopping the floor. Romanovich, big Russian redheaded kid. He's walking backwards as he's fucking mopping the floor. And I look up and he looks at me, my dick's in my hand, and this fucking the Playboy cutouts are in the other one. And he looks
Uh,
at, like, makes eye contact, and he just shakes his head and then just keeps going about what he's doing. But
dude,
I finished after that, and then
I
went back
didn't,
to my
dude.
life.
I didn't one time. That's how much anxiety I had the whole time I was there.
Uh,
I didn't pull it once, dude.
yeah,
Not one time. Two
that's
wet
that's a
dreams. I've only
yeah.
two wet dreams though, bro.
Oh,
The only time in my whole life I've had a wet dream was twice at boot camp. And I remember, dude, I I don't know if this is like X-rated or whatever, but I like
no,
woke
say
up.
whatever, dude,
Dude,
whatever.
I woke up and like like lights, and
Yeah.
everyone's fucking like, bro. I just nutted, bro. It must have been like minutes before lights, dude. And so I hop up and I'm like, I got like a wet mark, dude, like right on my fucking whitey tighties, dude. Because you like,
Oh my
uh,
God.
you know what I mean? But I think that was my saving grace because they were white. Because like, but I
Yes,
was, dude,
yes.
like
Well, that's
I didn't get busted.
oh
So
my God, that's so funny. That was so fucking funny. Oh, I see that.
yeah,
This is another reason why, dude, like, not that I'm so glad that we get to sit, and I feel ashamed that I haven't come to visit you or sat down sooner to do this. I mean, granted, we do communicate, but this is so, being able to get those funny stories out and like tell your side of things, it's a different perspective and it's a different look at it, and it all plays a role into the like the journey that you've been on and where you, and obviously we're gonna, but
mhm.
I'm so glad that we get to do this, and thanks again for coming on.
Yeah,
But
man,
okay, let's
of
get back
course.
to you fucking nutting in your pants while you're in boot camp. So you finish your 13 weeks at MCRD San Diego, and then what's after that?
Man, you know how it goes, the grind, but we 10 days of leave, I think is what it was, and then went right back to ITB. And me and Gardner went together to that too. I still got some
Mhm.
friends that we still talk from ITB. But my fucking cutting score, or not my cutting score, my ASVAB, like my GT, was
Hmm.
just high enough when I got the selection to get the honor of being a tow gunner.
Yeah.
So didn't have the option. Wanted to be a machine gunner, and luckily I got to do a lot of work with the belt feds later on. But went to ITB, had to carry a lug around that thing the whole time.
What is it? Just a tow missile tube that you guys carry around at ITV, or what is it?
Oh man, I think I'm trying to remember, but like the gun drills and stuff, like the whole ground setup had like the battery and
Oh,
like
okay, okay.
like the big massive battery, and then the whole ground mount system. And I'm pretty sure we carried that whole thing on the rucks.
No
Um,
shit, because that's the one that's like an
yeah,
arcade game almost, where you get in it and it's like it's like simulates you being able to like
yeah.
run the toe and hit target. Okay, yeah, I remember that thing.
That's the 220, like the TOW 220, like the old ground mount one, and then the Javelin,
Yeah.
of course. But yeah, it was like a 65 pound tube, the missile itself. But yeah, man, ITB is kind of a blur. That's when my anxiety started going away. Going to the gas lamp, you remember, and wearing your camo backpack, gas lamp
Yeah.
district, and
I was just
going.
talking to another Marine about that, and I was like, if you were in SOI, MCT, or ITB, and you did not have and you say that you didn't have one of those fucking backpacks, you are a liar. You're a
Oh
fuck
yeah,
unless
we all
you
did.
are you're a fucking liar. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and that's when we found out we were deploying, like right when we were still in ITB.
Yeah.
Because you find out what
They
unit you're
live
going
in
to.
yeah, and they said you guys are
Yeah,
going to Afghanistan next, and you're like, well,
yeah.
shit.
And I think I dropped to the fleet in March, and then we deployed in November. So like right in a workup,
Yep.
and all those dudes are getting back from IOF 9, just hazing the crap out of us.
Yeah.
But yeah, ITV, man, it was not much to it. Started pulling on myself again. Anxiety went away. And it was good. It was a good time. I actually had a good time there. Um,
Yeah, I agree. And now, do you think, and I mean, that the training that you had gotten, up to this point, where the confidence that they give you as you're a fresh Marine out of boot camp, and then now you're in ITB, you're getting to utilize like that whole process of becoming a rifleman, and now you're in your trade craft of being an 0352 tow gunner. Um,
mhm.
when you get through that training and you're going to the fleet, do you feel like you're competent, like you're prepared to take on the next task, or are you like, holy fuck, like this is going to be worse? What's going through your
Oh
mind?
fuck. Oh fuck no, man. Like I mean, you have such a base level of skill at that point, and I feel like we none of us really realize it looking back on it and like hindsight, like how just completely like terrible at our jobs we were.
Yeah.
I mean, we had like the right knowledge memorized. We could like repeat, max effective ranges and max ranges and like take it apart, put it back together really well. But like that was it, the scope of our knowledge. And for 52s at least, like we just focused on, our heavy weapon. Like we focused on the toe, and we only got half of what like an 11, like because you're an 11, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we only got like half of what you got. And so then you get to the fleet, and then it's like, you're doing a workup, and half the shit you do, like most of the shit you do, isn't even related to what your weapon specialty is, and then you get to Afghanistan, and then I end up in a line platoon anyways. I never touched a
Yeah.
toe the whole
Yeah.
time. So no, I mean, I kind of understand, like, because I got into the training environment. I started training, and like we just keep it so simple and so dumb that like they can't really mess it up. Um, but to be honest, I don't even remember half the things that I learned when I was in ITB. All that knowledge came, I believe, like when you get to the fleet and when you start training with like your seniors and actually getting out there and doing it.
Yeah, I agree. um Now, you say you get to 29 Palms in March of 2010, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So what's that bus ride like for you, and what are you thinking on your way there? Are you ready to take the fucking world by the balls? Or are you like, oh no? This is
I think I don't think I realized the imminent danger I was in. Like
yeah, that's
yeah. Uh because you're like, oh, I just got like I'm done with ITB, like, I'm done with training. And then you get to the fleet and you meet your like first senior lance corporal and you're like, oh God, I have to do this all over again. Like, what did I just do all this shit for?
yeah,
And I can't I can't say that all of them were terrible, like looking back on it, because like now we became friends, after all the hazing and everything. But God, I hated my life for that entire workup. I mean, and part of the deployment. I mean, it was just like, and I love looking back on like the tradition of it. And I think the Marine Corps lost a lot of that. The entire military as an organization, has lost all of that. But you were afraid for your life, every day. I mean, I would drive from 29 Palms to Arizona every weekend so I wouldn't have to be in the barracks on the
yeah.
weekends, because I would just like late I would just like be in my room like, please don't knock on my door, like I'd hear yelling, and it's just
Yeah.
like it's like a haunted house, dude. You're just like yelling there, you got your like Miller Lite you're drinking, or your Coors Banquet, and you're just like, oh, please don't knock on my door. And then you hear a knock and you're like, oh fuck, here we go. Like field day, just like a nightmare.
Oh my God.
PT at like Sugar Cookie and Staff Sergeant Carbonare just running our
Oh
asses
my.
every day.
I need to get a hold of that, man. That's a
Oh, he
oh,
wrote, dude, he's one of the reasons I became a pilot, man. He wrote like a really
seriously.
good, yeah, he wrote me a letter, a really good letter of recommendation, LOR. I know he became a gunny at least, started
No,
like doing
he got out.
recruiting.
He retired as a master sergeant. I haven't
Yeah, man.
talked
I
to him.
mean, like back then, God, I hated his guts, but
Oh God,
he made me grow. I turned into like a man because of that guy.
dude, that guy was in the like he was in Iraq right now, fucking 20 years ago. In
Yeah.
2003, this day, that man invaded Iraq. I remember he said Giuliano, or he said it to Brock. And then I asked him about it. I said, "Hey, Staff Sergeant, I heard you told Brock this joke." He's like, "What?" I was like, "About the dead baby." And he's like, "Oh yeah, what's funnier than the dead baby?" It's like, "I don't know, Staff Sergeant." I said, "A dead baby in a clown suit," and he'd laugh. He would
I'll
laugh.
say.
He'd actually laugh, dude. And you're like, "Oh man." Oh my God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember because I always talk to guys like now, army guys, and I can't really relate to most of them about this stuff, but I'll bring up like death runs, and people don't like understand the concept. Like death run is like a different interpretation for a lot of people, I guess. But I remember what ours were death runs, like our version of a death run was just like you literally run until people just start dropping, and he would do that shit. I remember, man, I felt like such a bitch because uh like running every day, and I'm still like I'm a decent runner now, even as an officer. Like I'm a decent runner, probably worse than majority of officers. But like my I was in so much pain from this PT every day, and I remember I was like, Staff Sergeant, I need to go see a corpsman, like because my shins hurt. And he's like, dude, he's blasting my ass, dude. Like he's like, you're a little like he's calling me every name in the book, dude. And I was like, I really like, and I was like, fine. I kept going. And I remember I got in my car at a Honda Civic, and I couldn't put it in gear because I couldn't move my toes, dude. And so I went to the corner. He's like, fine, be a pussy, go to the corpsman. So I go to the corpsman, and then, dude, I had stress fractures all the way through both legs. They gave me like a radiological like bone scan, and I had like 13 weeks of light duty, bro. Like
Holy
13 weeks.
shit.
It was amazing. It was great, the
Oh,
greatest thing ever. But like I was
there
always
is a
just so
guy.
afraid.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
he is a scary man. When I was in his platoon before the second deployment, before they disbanded Alpha Company, I remember we all
Yeah.
went to the fucking shell platoon. But he would do the same shit every morning. He would be out there, he'd have like this fucking pig egg. He'd have, like we'd do fucking plate carrier runs. Staff Sergeant Parlow or Sergeant Partlow or whatever at the time.
Mm.
He would go out there and do the same fucking thing because he was like, I went to ANS, so I'm gonna fucking try to be Marsoc without actually being Marsoc, like but
Gosh.
it's No, I mean, I don't know, whatever. But
When I busted my teeth out, he was the
oh,
first, like,
yo,
yeah,
that
like
okay,
I know
that's
I don't want to fast forward too much, but
yeah,
like,
yeah,
since we're on the subject of satellite carbonara, like after I busted my teeth out from our pre-deployment party, that second one,
yeah.
like I went down to, dude, I went to sleep after I busted my teeth out, and I woke up in the morning. Like I called my mom and everything.
Yo,
Like,
you were on your hands and knees, blacked out. Where's my?
I was looking for my tooth, man. Yeah. And I fucking, so I wake up in the morning and I'm like, fuck, my mouth is on, like my mouth hurts so bad. I was like, what fuck? I didn't even know what happened. I was totally blacked out. I mean, that night, like Arsenault was like in his room throwing bricks. You were naked on the catwalk. You jumped in someone's shower. Like I'm pretty sure Caserta was banging his girlfriend with the blinds open.
Oh,
Dude, I mean, that was like a wild party. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
and I went down to form. There's a formation, dude, and I showed up to formation. I'm like, Steph, sorry, I gotta go to dental, and I was covering my mouth, and he's like, what happened? And I just smiled at him, dude. My teeth are all gone, like just shattered. And I had to go get emergency dental surgery. And they told me if I could find my tooth, I could put it back in. So I was like searching for it, dude, all day.
Oh
And
no.
I found out that a dude on the top deck, I went up to the top. I was going after Cosgrove, I think. Cosgrove was shooting Skittles at me with a slingshot. And so I went up there to like, I still went up there after I busted my teeth out to go find him. And I guess I dropped my tooth on the ground. And this guy said he thought it was a hot tamale on the ground, and he went to go look at it. It was a tooth, and he kicked it off the balcony into the rocks.
Oh god,
And I
that's
couldn't fucking find it, dude. I couldn't find it. So I still have like my teeth are all like I got like three fake teeth, top row.
no.
Uh,
I do, but not from that. I was a different time. It was post deployment. From the first deployment, I was um, I won't say what I was doing, but we were I was with these girls jumping into people's pools, and there was one that had a hardcover top on it, and I'm trying to be all cool, and I fucking jump off the diving board and I go face first into a hardcover pool top, dude, and I shattered my fucking teeth, and I'm like, I'm trying to
yeah.
make out with this girl still, and she's like,
Oh my god, dude.
oh, it's so bad.
But but when I look back on stuff like that, like the times we had, like those parties in the barracks at the ghetto up there on the hill,
Yeah,
like just some of the best. I mean, not a female soul around,
no,
just a ton of just dudes that are angry, and man, we threw some just raging parties, and
yeah,
some of the best memories that like I have were from that time.
definitely.
Uh,
I totally
yeah.
agree. But okay, let's come back around to you
All right.
got 13 weeks light duty. Staff Sergeant Card thinks you're a pussy. What's going on?
So we did that whole workup, as a weapons platoon, and then we of course we do the whole ramp up, and then we go to, and there was enough. I felt pretty solid as a tow gunner at the time. I was coming together, like started to work out, like started getting good shape, and then the whole process leading up to the actual deployment was fine. We always felt like outcasts as weapons platoon, of course. But I remember I got to cop pain that on that first Afghan deployment in 2010. And I can't remember who it was, but someone came up to me and they were like I think it was me, Gibson, Allen, and I can't remember who else. Maybe
Which
Bugis.
Gibson, like little Gibson or Peter Gibson, tall Peter
Jeremy
Gibson?
Gibson. He went UA.
Jeremy.
Remember? He
Oh,
went.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes,
yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah. He like ran away from the cops for years, but they they come up to us and they're like, y'all are going to Delta Company White Platoon. And this was after a 7 month workup at White Platoon. The day we get to Afghanistan, you're going to Delta Company White Platoon. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And they handed me a CMD, bro, like a CMD and a Thor, and like they're like, you're a point man on the patrol. And then I met my squad, who were just fucking at the time terrible. At the time they were just total assholes.
Who's
But
the okay? Hold on. Who was in Delta White that platoon? Was that
so
Moran's platoon?
no, it wasn't Moran. Staff Sergeant Gaudio or Sergeant Gaudio.
So, oh, Michael Gaudio is your fucking squad
Yeah,
leader. Oh,
yeah, yeah,
I
dude.
feel so bad for you.
Yeah, and
Uh,
Dodson, like Dodson,
Corporal
Munger,
Dodson.
Spackman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they were, and they had all just come back from IOF 9. Like
Yeah.
so, they and we were just boots. So uh like I remember my first patrol with a CMD, and I'm like walking, 1 mile an hour. I was scared at like pissing my pants, like thinking I'm gonna step on an IED. And that was like that's what happened, man. All of us ended up just in the line platoon. I was a point man, and we ended up in Tagaz, and just a total different, not what I expected. Not didn't think that was going to happen. And the rest of the tow gunners, got to chill like pretty much the whole deployment at Castle or wherever they went.
Yeah.
But I ended up in Tagaz patrolling every day for 7 months, living in
Yeah.
that
And that,
shithole.
oh God, that, and especially too on that first deployment, I know, I think it was the unit prior that set up to God's, but that AO that's in, that is some shit fucking area. Wasn't it was it right outside to God's? Like was it across the river or on the
We were right on
same?
the river.
Okay, no,
We were
no,
like,
I'm saying like that there, remember that old hill that you had, like there was like a
yeah, it
blown out building up there and you go, yeah. That was
was a
on this
castle.
side.
You
That
talk
it
about not
was
not Cobb
not
Castle, but it was
right,
an
right,
old
right, right.
castle.
Okay, okay,
Mhm.
yes, yeah, I remember
We
that.
would do like recon from up there. But yeah, I mean those were, and people kind of remember, especially at a jump, that second deployment, like going to guys, like it was a shithole. I
Yeah,
mean, nothing, no amenities whatsoever. We were on foot, no vehicles, pissing in tubes, shitting in bags, like most other people were, and burning our trash, just like pretty much everybody else was. But like, I mean, we would get flooded out. We were our TCPs were in Afghan backyards,
yeah.
like compounds, every day running patrols. The boots, like I was like standing way too much post. Like you go on Q.
Okay, we're back with the Pressing Forward podcast with Michael Matter. I was not paying attention to the time there, and Zoom had stopped our meeting, so we're back. We just left off where you were talking about the shitty conditions of Tagaz, being point man for Delta Company, White Platoon, and that's the lifestyle you're living out there on patrol every day in a shitty environment. And what else is going on?
Yeah, man. I mean, that was the grind, every day. Rotating between TCPs. Just trying to stay sane. I'm sure you remember how it was. But I had my iPod with like three fucking movies on it, and
Yeah,
sleeping in a bug net every night. It was a shitty deployment, and it was not what most people expect. Everyone everyone talks about like, oh, like Afghanistan this, Afghanistan that. Well, there's like different parts of Afghanistan, and different parts are obviously very very different in like how kinetic they are. And where we were in Tagaz, it was mostly just IED threats, every day. There were some pop shots and some random IDF stuff like that, but dude, it was just a grind because you go out there, it's so monotonous every day. Security patrols, recon patrols, census patrols, locking in like at least 20 clicks a day. They weren't easy ones. Having to ruck all your stuff between TCPs without any like actual transport. Um, that was a grind, man. Like for the whole time. Nothing. Obviously, Barham Shah happened. We had to stay in lockdown to Gaz, while Barham Shah went down. So our whole white platoon had to stay in Tagaz. And a lot of guys went to Barham Shah, like a lot of the even the weapons guys.
yeah.
Um,
I was there to. I think I have either Wordleman, or I don't know who it is. Like, there's a video of him putting a tow missile into a machine gun position. And it's like, not to make you jealous or anything. I mean, we're
oh no,
past
it
that.
was
We're past that. But it was,
oh, we're
yeah,
past it. We're past it. But it was shitty because like they wanted to keep us there because we were working our asses off, and everyone Tagaz, when we were doing that in brief, security brief, like, oh, Tagaz is like the Wild West, is what they were telling us. And it was just like, man, like it was just not. Wasn't really the Wild West. I mean, maybe in the summertime prior it was, but the winter time, how it is, it
yeah,
just died down. And there were everyone went to Barham Shah. And we're just like hearing on the radio or just hanging out there, just like, man, like they're just out there getting it. And we're back here just eating shit into God's
Yeah.
every day.
Well, and
So
Erie Company got to go up to Singing as well. I mean, we went up there with Erie Company, and they were up there on that PB by themselves, like they were like in Nole, right where all the action was happening. Those guys were getting it up there. We got to go up there and
yep.
get fucking blown up with those guys, and
Yeah.
that's like everything that it was. And and that's the thing too. I talked to some people and they're like, oh man, I don't have an interesting story to tell, or I didn't get in all these firefights. And it's like, I mean, neither did we. I mean, we did, but we also didn't, compared to the guys that are out there getting in hundreds of
Oh,
firefights a
like the
week.
Korengal. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
even guys in like some different AOs that were right by us, like you go down to Barham Shot, it was like IEDs and mortars and rockets and machine gun fire every single day, for a good week. That was what was going on. And that's like
Mhm.
some some deployments are more kinetic, some aren't. And for people to think that, obviously at the time it's like a lot of a lot of shit talk and making people feel like they're not worth it because they didn't go through certain experiences that other people did. And I'm guilty of that shit too, like I talked my fair share of shit and said things to people because I thought that what I did was, at the time, it's different. But now it's like there's sacrifice on every level of it. And I mean, this isn't your first deployment. This
Mhm.
isn't your only deployment.
Yeah.
You get to go back multiple times and you do contract, I mean, whatever, but it's like, everybody finds a way to scratch that itch or participate. And if they don't, then they just get out. And I think that they hold that shit really, um, I don't know.
There is,
Like
and
they,
I see it a lot in the army, there's a lot of shame, like with people who don't get to deploy. And I mean, there's different levels of it. Like, obviously, I've been to Afghanistan like a lot. Like, I mean, I lived there for 2 years after the Marines, but like a lot of guys I know in the army have been in, they're like majors, and they've never deployed. And that's like the first in there. And it's the army is I don't agree with it, but they have a combat patch, like if you've deployed to a combat zone, no matter what your MOS is, if you go to a combat zone, you collect that combat pay, like you wear the combat patch, like, and you rate it. And it's a defining piece of your uniform because that's like the first thing people look at. They look at your shoulder and they're just like, oh, that guy has deployed. He has done shit. And in my like environment I'm in now, I do not agree with that. And I mean, I don't think that defines a person. It depends on their job, obviously, but like it doesn't define a pilot like on their competency.
yeah,
And I think that shame is it's toxic, man. And it's definitely still around today. Even deployments are just they're not happening anymore, and so like those people just have to like they think that it's like a negative thing, but they could be the best pilot on the planet. I mean, some of our best pilots have never deployed like to a combat zone, and it's like, bro, I'm a 200 hour like regular pilot. This guy's like a 3,000 hour, piloting command slash instructor pilot. Like I don't touch him on skill level, but so like the combat patches means nothing. Like
yeah,
it
yeah.
shouldn't mean anything. But there is a lot of shame now, man. And you talk to a lot of guys who got out of the Marine Corps, and they're like, "Oh, I never did anything." I'm like, "No, man, you did. Like, it's luck. It was luck of the draw. Like, we got lucky. We went to a unit who was like getting ready to go out on a pump, and turned back around and went again. But there were a lot of people in our times too that never got to deploy. It doesn't
Yeah,
mean you're like any lesser of a Marine. It just means you didn't get the opportunity, man. You can't sign up to go to Afghanistan.
yeah.
You got to go to a unit that's going there. So
And I agree with that too, especially now getting a little bit older and seeing that also, like people talk about the the mental health side of things and how all these like I'm not the nicest person. I've made plenty of mistakes in my life. I've said things and done things that I'm not fucking proud of. Um, that being said, like signing up to join the Marine Corps and be a part of the world's finest fighting force, um, being in the Navy, being a corpsman, being a fucking nuclear sub driver, whatever, however you
Hmm.
would say that, being a motor T dude in the army, being a pilot in the Air Force, or being some fucking cook or parachute rigger in the Air Force or something. I don't know. Like it's all like I keep saying this thing. It's like it's all a collective to keep the thing
It
moving
is.
in the
Hmm.
direction it's supposed to be going. And who am I to judge anyone else's service? Because I think that I was able to like have a, you know, uh,
It's a an
I don't even
epiphany,
know I
man.
don't know the right words. I don't know
It's
the right
a
word like where I can. It's
it
not my
takes
place to
time.
judge other people. It's not.
Yeah, and it took me some time to kind of to grow, and like I had an epiphany, and like I totally switched, man. I went from infantryman to like to contract. I was running guns for years, man. Then I went to contractor, then nuclear security, and then like bam, I'm a pilot. I'm a boot pilot. And it's like it doesn't matter what I did. It doesn't matter that I deployed. Like now I'm trying to be a pilot. And so I had to like switch that off and learn to grow, and now I'm an off like then I became an officer, and it's like I kind of just grew as a person, and kind of realized that, man, everything, it takes everybody. And a lot of people that struggle, that get out and struggle, weren't infantry guys. They were just normal, had normal jobs, like whether they were, combat, like just non-combat or combat. A lot of them didn't deploy either. The struggles didn't just come from like the fact that we deployed. It just like is going from like one extreme to another, like one
Yeah.
lifestyle to another. And then we're a drop of a bucket, man. Like what, 10% of the Marine Corps is infantry, like something like
No,
that.
dude. 1%. I'm pretty sure 1% of the infantry is infantry.
And then what percentage of that have deployed? I mean, you got to
Yeah,
think
I
about
mean,
that.
way smaller, dude. And
And
on
then what
top of
percentage of that saw actual combat? It's like,
yeah,
dude, you're just you're dropping the bucket, man. I mean, of the whole machine. And the struggles are the people that like the last soldier that we had, like the last soldier that I know that lost her life wasn't brand. It was she was brand new, the organization, So it's like everyone has their struggles. It doesn't matter what you've done or where you've been. So it's all, you have to kind of step back and look at it that way.
yeah. I agree with you because you never know the way that somebody's going about handling something and what they're feeling, and you start to be that asshole that's gonna assume that you do, then you are the asshole. Like that's why people are committing suicide because nobody wants to understand. They want to call them out and say, "Oh, you fucking pussy, this, and that," and you didn't deploy, you didn't do this. Like a lot of, I'm pretty sure just statistically, most of the post 9/11 veterans that are committing suicide, there's a large majority of them that never deployed.
Mm, yeah.
Feeling inadequate about what you did, and then having like some type of survivor's guilt or whatever it
Hmm.
may be. Um, it's just crazy that there's such a divide in all aspects of the community. You've got your division between branches, you got your division between MOS, you got your division between combat and non-combat, or I deployed to Japan, fucking, or went on a MEU and traveled to all these countries. There's different tiers and everything. And I understand that there's a level of progression that you have to go to through in order to get to, the next rank, the next job, the next school, the next whatever. But at the same time, once we get out and once we all move on and once we get a little bit older, you realize that wouldn't it be better and easier if we understood um, people's different perspectives and their different points of view and the way that they experience things. And I might find something that you disagree with, and you might find something that I disagree with. Does that mean that we have to fucking hate each other? I guarantee you, there's a lot more that a lot of these guys and gals have in common than they fucking think. And
Yeah. Yeah,
I,
I agree. We just need to do better, like as veterans, and even us that are still in, to like just try to be better, like I guess to each other. Like there shouldn't this divide, and I do believe that we have gone a little soft. Don't get me wrong, but there needs to be more encouragement between, like, especially veterans, man. Like everyone needs to come together, and like this whole divide is toxic, man. So when I like run into Marines that have served, I don't ask them right away like, oh, where'd you deploy? Like that comes out. I mean, that's, who cares, man?
yeah.
Like obviously if you've deployed, like we're gonna have a little bit more to talk about, and I can relate. We can share some stories, but like we have to encourage each other, and like and support each other no matter what we did. Cause that, like you were saying, that, that guilt of not doing anything can like really be detrimental to people. And I don't think anyone should have guilt. I think if you served, no matter if you didn't go anywhere, it doesn't matter. You still were part of the organization.
Yeah,
Um,
and maybe that person that's never deployed, like you said, you're talking about a pilot that's got 3,000 flight hours and he's like a master of his craft and he doesn't deploy. Like, excuse me, like he may be contributing to, that in the aspect of he's got this experience and being able to effectively train guys and teach them certain
yep.
things so they have that stepping stone to get to the next point where they need to go. And then like he's putting people in the position to be effective in combat, even though they're going to learn things on their own. You're going to go out and branch off and go to a different school or a different course or have a different instructor, or once you get to your unit they might have an SOP that's supposed to be done this way, but that instructor who's a master of like teaching and shaping and like the basic building blocks, like that's a huge important thing that people don't think about. And
Hmm.
everything down from, as much as you want to talk shit about IPAC and admin people, I mean, actually I should talk a lot of shit about IPAC and admin people, but they are fucking needed, and it's because they
Yep.
fucked up paperwork of mine. My DD-214's fucked up. It's got one of my deployments missing on there, so I have to print out my leave and earnings
Oh,
statement
I
to
remember that.
show
Yeah.
for contracting companies to be like,
Yeah.
yes, I have
Yeah.
I have over that time in country,
Mhm.
dude. You know.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a nightmare.
So
Yeah.
okay, so we jumped into the first deployment and we're going through explaining about the way that went and the things that you were tasked to do. So you're talking about sweeping every day, getting used to the environment that you're in over on the west, the Wild West, the edge of the Empire to Gaz, Delta Company, White Platoon. How does that deployment wrap up? And what are you feeling when we're getting ready to go home?
Honestly, I felt relief to go home. I was ready to go home. Like, I mean, we were all counting on the days towards the end there, just because it was just being, man, I don't remember the exact amount of time, but like I think I got like one good shower in that deployment, and it was at Castle, and it was cold water. So I was just looking forward to being clean and like, taking a shit in the toilet and like, eating real food, not
Yeah,
UGRs or MREs. And
yeah,
like, it was just the grind had just gotten old after so long that we were just like ready to go back. Despite like, we're at one hand you're like, I feel like there's more to do here. I feel like everyone feels that like they didn't effectively make a huge change, and you know how that is. Like by the time we left there, it went back to how it was like months later. But and then we found out we were going right back anyways. So you're just ready to go home and get some time in before you had to go back again.
yeah,
Um, but like before, like boot camp, some of the best times I had were over there. I have a lot of good memories from over there. Even the Afghans we worked with, like I just made a post the other day on Facebook, like me with some of the AVP we worked with, like they were good guys. Didn't have too many bad experiences with them. Um, you know, I feel like we kind of made a little bit of a difference. Obviously not enough, but we had another shot going back again. And
yeah.
I was ready to go home, man. So
What's it like getting off the bus and like, yeah, I assume your family was there, being in fucking Arizona, and weren't you dating Gibson's sister at the time?
yeah, I don't know if it was at
Yeah.
that time. It might have been like soon after that. Uh, I can't rightly remember. I think I was, man, yeah, but he hated me for that.
Yeah. I think
She,
he left. I'm sorry, but he left after it was like after that second employment, like not too long after we got back, right? He was like sitting in his car in the barracks parking lot, with both hands on the. All right.
that was Gibson, I think. That was
Yes, it
Gibson.
was. No, you
Yeah,
because I remember you were like, dude, you're
I
not gonna
dated
believe this.
Bugus's sister, yeah, Bugus's sister, Brian's sister.
Okay, right. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. Erin, right? That was her name.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that's a good
Yeah.
memory, man. That's impressive. Yeah, yeah. Jeremy Gibson was like sitting in his. I think it's because that deployment really did get to us. I mean, it was rough, but I just think he was over it, man. He's like, I don't want to go back. Or I don't know what's going through his head, but yeah, he was. Somebody said they saw him in his car, like just sitting there, hands on the steering wheel, and then And then he
Yes.
left, man. I
Yeah.
mean, he left for years. Like he was gone for years.
Did he
I
turn
think he
himself in?
resurfaced.
I think,
I
yeah,
think,
I'm pretty sure he like
yeah,
turned himself in or something.
yeah. I mean, it was he resurfaced recently. I think it's on pop up on social media. Didn't reach out. I should reach out to him though.
Or
Make
he's
sure he's all right.
like, come get me, fuckers.
Yeah, he's like living in fucking Alaska or something. There's like
Uh,
Mexico.
that's
But
funny.
yeah, I mean, and then soon after I met you. I mean, I already knew who you were, but that's when we got in the same platoon and
Yeah.
jump, and um, that was a whole nother party. Just
Wild.
so
Well, that's like
yeah.
okay. So like the break though, because I remember when we got back, they were like, oh yeah, you guys are gonna get to like I don't know if they were trying to upset us with like you guys get to pick what platoons you want to go to. Like, um, I think we all wanted to go to I think Delta Company because we knew we were deploying again. We all were like, I want to be in the same platoon. We were like Delta, we want to go to Delta Company, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, you're going to Alpha," and they sent me to Alpha Company, and it's like they got this company first sergeant or something that just got or Gunny Garcia maybe he just got back from the drill field, and it's like, clean your rifle. And it's like
Yeah.
making people clean their rifles by the numbers, and I'm like, no,
Nah. Mm-mm.
no,
We're like we've deployed. We're salty now. We don't need to do that
yeah.
shit.
But I mean, dude, he's like,
Yeah.
this guy just got back from the drill field, and I just got back from Afghanistan. I'm like, what the fuck is this, bro? I'm going to drink Jack Daniels and Coors Light. The fuck is going on here? I mean, it was
Yeah.
just that was shitty. And then we did the Bishop. Remember the Bishop?
Oh
The
my
Bis? My
God, dude.
God.
Is that when everybody passed out, dude?
Yeah, that's everybody was heat
Or
casing
we had
because
a oh yeah,
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 because
that's
it was
right.
we were training on Black Flag days. We're in the field. It was like 33 days in the
No,
field.
a land
Basic.
nav course with tan jerry cans. I remember that shit.
Oh, the yeah, the that was I heat
Was that
cased
squad
on.
comp?
No, it wasn't squad comp. It was the BISUP, dude. It was the basic
God,
infantry
dude.
individual skills package where a
Yeah.
new battalion commander wanted us to like go around and be like, "Oh, this is how you take apart it was like a 9 millimeter Beretta in like six pieces on the side of this ridge line, and you're like picking up a barrel that's got dirt and shit on it, and you're assembling a 9 mil." I'm like, "Yes, this is."
No, they put
Uh,
it all in a pile. They put it all in a
oh,
pile
yeah.
after the ruck. It was like after a ruck, and
And
you
you
got
had
to the
to
pile, and
run
you're
up
like,
to it.
"Fuck,
Yeah.
yeah."
Uh,
And all the parts were in a big pile, and you're like,
I
"God, dude, I can't even think right now."
I heat cased on that shit. The land because they when we did this like land nav thing, they made us keep our fucking gear on. It's like 100 and something. I've been drinking fucking liquor, hard liquor
Yeah.
and beer for the last 2 months, post deployment leave, and then every night in the barracks, there was no accountability. I'm getting fucking hammered every night, and then they're like, "You're going to the field in fucking July or whatever it was." We're like, "What
Did
the
you get a
fuck?"
silver bullet?
Yeah, I did, dude. I asked for I Sergeant Wang, we
Uh,
got back. I made it back to like inside the wire, and I sat my pack down, and they're like, "All right, let's go. Like, get your shit." We were putting it on Humvees. It was like a single Humvee, like throw our packs in because whatever. And I go to pick up my pack, and I just locked up. I was like, "Ugh!" And I fell over. Remember Sergeant Wang, the big fucking corn fed, Sergeant Wang. Remember
I don't
him?
remember him. I don't
Uh,
remember him, but I
he
can just
like picked
imagine you
he
fucking.
he just like he picked me up and like deadlifted, I don't know, whatever he was up, clean and pressed me. He's like, dog, come running through. They stripped me down. My little fucking dehydrated wiener is fucking sticking out. They roll me over. I'm like, please no, like don't fucking do it. And they're like, sorry, we have to. And they stuck me,
Uh,
and I'm like, I asked for a cigarette, and they're like, I was like, it wasn't that bad. Like, give me a cigarette. And they're
uh,
like, no, you're dehydrated, but fuck you.
I
Oh,
can't believe you got it.
yeah, there was other guys that like they went back. I was like, I'm not gonna go back. I'm fine, like give me an IV. I'm gonna be fine. And I remember there was kids trying so hard to go. They were like not about it. They're like, I don't want to be infantry anymore. Like,
Well,
fuck this shit.
I think I was talking to I could have sworn I think it was Alan, but we were like they recalled us for the Black Flag, and we're like walking back, and we're trying to find our way back because we're in the middle of nowhere. And I remember
Yeah.
like I think it was during the land nav course, and I see him and he looks kind of funny, and I'm like, hey man, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm good. And like he wasn't sweating. I'm like, okay, dude. So I'm like just trudging, trying to get back. And then I just hear like the fucking face plant. I look over and he's just on the ground, dude. Just like pass the fuck
Yeah.
out. Like, dude, I was like, oh my God, this is bad. I was like, this is
Yeah.
bad. People are gonna die. And
Yeah.
like they got hopefully they got in trouble for that.
No,
I don't
they
know.
did like an investigation because there was something like I don't know. I mean, what a terrible time to do it. At least like I mean, I guess whatever. We're all a bunch of that was that bad. And then right after the BISP, they sent me to infantry squad leaders course. So I'm like,
Oh yeah.
not even. And I got to first thing. Okay, just real quick. I won't go, but I get there and the instructors are all just like mean, lean killers, and they're like, I'm coming in there and my hair is probably as long as it is now, and I'm like, they got no skivvy shirt on, and I think I'm fucking salty, and they're looking at me like sergeants, like senior sergeants, staff sergeants, all these guys are just fucking chest deep. Like they're like, who the fuck are you? And I was like, oh, Lance Corporal Giuliano, Gunny, what's going on? And he's just like, you better get a haircut right fucking now. And he's like, step on the scale, like in that movie, fucking Heavyweights. He's like, step on the scale. Step off the scale. He's like, you're fucking fat, Giuliano. I was like, yeah. He's like, what the fuck you been doing? Drinking beer and eating pizza? And I was like, yes, Gunnery Sergeant,
Yeah, but
exactly that.
I remember though you could still run back then. You know,
Yeah,
you were good. You were in shape. I remember
yeah.
that.
Well, dude, remember I
I
mean, dude, you and I lifted together every day for 6 months, basically, dude. Like I was
yeah.
on we got shredded as fuck.
Yeah, Caserta got me into it like real big time. But I mean, I started lifting in Afghan that first deployment, like working out with like engineer stakes and jerry cans and like strands of sea wire. But yeah, I started getting like heavy into it, like in between those deployments. And then we worked out quite a bit on deployment too.
Yeah, we did. I
But
mean, we did a lot of CrossFit shit though because we had just like some bumper plates, a fucking tire, a
oh,
sledgehammer,
that's
and
right.
like
We
a
would pull
pull
the tire up
apart.
the hill. We'd pull
Yeah,
the tire up the
that
fucking
yeah,
hill.
yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, so let's
that was
talk.
a
Let's
scary
talk.
deployment.
We got yeah, it was a skate deployment. What was that process like working up to go on that second deployment? I mean, what were you thinking? Like, fuck, I don't want to go back again. Like, this is bullshit. They put me with a
Oh
new
man,
platoon.
I mean, we were like, I feel like we were having a good time. Like,
Yeah,
it was so much different. Like after you're not a boot and you're just like, I mean, we drank way too much. We
yeah,
partied way too much. We kind of knew. I feel like we knew we were going into that deployment like, and it was going to be like pretty skate compared to the first one because we were going to jump, and we knew that
yeah.
like we were going to have a little more leisures compared to like some more amenities compared to the other guys. But I mean, we had a blast. I mean, we had a that was some good times back then, man. I
Yeah, it
mean,
was. I mean, the whole workup process. I mean, like every weekend they're like, "Don't go to fucking what's that bar in Palm Springs that we were gonna
oh,
all go to?
dude, where we
The
got
Village?
drugged?
Is it the Village Pub? The Village
That's
Pub,
where we
dude.
got. Remember, we
That's
all
where we
got
got
drugged.
roofied, dude. Yeah, by
Yeah,
that hooker. She stole our money, dude.
dude, she didn't steal my money.
Well, it was me and it was me and Richards. You remember that? It
Yeah,
was
but yeah,
Richards and I.
yeah,
Oh
but
God.
I remember I remember taking a shot. All of us were together, and I think one of the PLs was there. I can't remember,
Oh
but we
yeah,
took a shot.
dude, it was Alex Lowe, and it was Alex
Yeah,
Lowe
yeah, yeah.
and our platoon commander, and they were just like nobody said it. We just saw each other. We were like,
No, but we
like
took a
the
shot. Dude, we took that shot, and I remember waking up like groggy as hell, like, oh, like what happened? And I had to go outside and look at the sign to see like where we were because I had no clue where we were.
some random hotel, dude.
We were like a motel, dude. We
Yeah,
were like a
yeah,
shitty, and all of us were in that room.
yeah.
And I remember I was like, I don't know if you remember this, but I remember I was like, I'm like itchy. I'm like, why am I fucking itchy? And I like go to the mirror and I like look in the mirror and I'm covered in hickeys from like from like here to like my waist. And then you
Uh,
guys, and this is how I remember it. It's like The Hangover, bro, like the movie. Like you guys all start waking up, like, ugh, like where's my wallet? Like I think maybe some phones got stolen. I can't remember. And and I'm like, okay, I got my wallet. I got my phone. I got all my stuff on me. I didn't get robbed, but I'm like
Dude,
covered.
I can
And
tell
so
you.
I never put it together, dude. I don't even want to think about it. But I
Oh,
went to the corpsman right after.
yeah, I remember a couple of things from that night. I don't Richardson, I was like, "Did you?" And he's like, "Yeah, did you?" I'm not gonna say anything because that's damning information to some people.
It
Um,
is, but I don't think I will tell you. She was just a foreign chick. She wasn't
yeah,
a hooker. But
yeah,
but I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
yeah.
And I remember like you couldn't start your truck, and then
Oh
like
yes. Oh
I
God,
had to
that
go
was
to
so bad.
CVS. I had to go to CVS and get like makeup before formation to put it
Yeah,
on my
just the
neck.
hickeys. Yeah,
Yeah, and God, man, that was a nightmare.
yeah. It was Richards
Good
with that.
time, but
Remember that we were at some random fucking hole in the wall bar. I wasn't even 21 yet. I was not 21 yet. I didn't turn 21 until that second deployment. So you guys are always like buying my drinks. We're in some fucking hole in the wall bar, and some old rich lady, she liked Richard. She's like, "You want to draft my Corvette?" She's got like a 67 Corvette fucking convertible parked outside. He's blackout drunk, and he's like, "Hell yeah." Gets in her fucking car.
uh,
Oh
yeah.
God, so many good times. But
It sucks though, because like I look back. I don't know if it's my memory is bad, but I look back on like some of the and I like can't remember like a lot of stuff. But then like I remember when it's brought up because like we
yeah,
just like you never talk about it anymore, and I'm like, oh, that's right, I remember that. It's just like crazy, like what you remember, what you recall. I mean,
dude,
we were drunk a lot, but
we were, but well, once we got into that stage where we went to Afghanistan, again, the second time in 2012, um, I sometimes on the hard drive, I'll pull out some pictures and start just like reminiscing and looking through, and it's so funny some of the shit that I mean, some of the shit is never gonna be.
I lost it all, dude. I
I,
lost it all.
dude, I something inside. Somebody told me like make sure you have a hard drive, and you know me, like I was always trying to, like, especially that second deployment, we were just like fucking around and making stupid videos. Like we would go out to the fucking range and just like dump fucking like go out and shoot rockets and shit. And you're like, all right, let's blow up
Well,
a fucking car.
we were dumping the ASP.
Yeah,
We
just
had, yeah.
getting rid of everything.
Yeah, we were shooting
But
fucking. We were shooting missiles like we were
yeah, the
throwing.
jet.
We were popping pyro at targets, dude.
Yeah,
Remember
we were
that?
taking we had like a bucket of frag grenades, and I know we were just like tossing fucking frag grenades, like
Yeah.
fucking carelessly tossing frag grenades.
Uh,
But no, that's oh fuck, I get an itch. All right, so we go on this second deployment. We got a pretty solid platoon of dudes. We're not really doing much other than, like lame ass foot patrols where there's really no threat. It's like we're doing more of a census patrol. There's a
yeah.
couple platoons
Yeah.
out there getting it. I mean, it really wasn't anything crazy. We did a lot of KLEs, a lot of time fucking
Mhm.
pulling security for KLEs. That was fucking ridiculous.
Being a bouncer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah. But uh,
So
but it was still a good time. We got in
yeah,
shape.
definitely.
We killed
Oh,
time. Yeah.
you remember that time that I sold pica for like 20 bucks to that
Oh,
Afghan
I
dude?
remember. Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah. I have the picture of it. I have the
Yeah,
picture of
like
it.
him holding him, and he's like his busted ass nose. He's like
Yeah.
the Afghan, he's just like laying there on this rug, after we all got done eating dinner, and he's like petting the rug, and the interpreter's like, "Your friend," he's like, "Tell your friend," he says his face is beautiful as 1,000 roses. And Pike is like, "What the fuck?" I'm from Missouri, like I don't fucking know nothing
Uh,
about,
yeah.
and I'm like, "Tell this fucking guy he comes back with 20 American dollars. He can fuck my friend." And sure as shit, that guy came back with 20 American dollars, dude.
Oh my God,
Oh,
that's so fucked up. Yeah, but I remember that. I remember
yeah,
that. Oh, good times, man. Good time.
yeah,
But yeah, then man, we came back from that deployment, and I don't think I was around much longer because I got orders to.
yeah. No, I
I went to the monitor.
that
And I remember
yeah. What
I
I was
go
gonna
ahead.
say, what was that? What was that like? Like, were you kind of ready to move on? Did you? Because you did one more enlistment, right? Or you had a 6-year contract?
I had a 5 year, and I did an extension.
Okay, okay, got it.
Um, but I remember I was like, I remember the monitor came 29 Palms, and I knew we weren't gonna like the UDP was on the horizon.
Yeah.
I really had no intention of going on the UDP, and I think that's when I started coming into like I want to I want to like continue this, but I want to be more productive and like you know I still want to have some kind of impact on the organization. And so I remember, dude, it's so funny. I didn't tell my platoon sergeant. I can't remember his name because we barely had him. And I was supposed to be a VC, like a vehicle commander on a tow for this UDP. And I went to the monitor without telling him I was going to the monitor, and I got orders cut on the spot. I'm pretty sure that's how it happened. Because you could like go to the monitor and like make a deal with him. Like you sit down with him and he's like, all right, where do you want to go? These are our spots we have available. And I was trying to be an instructor. I was trying to go to Quantico or like Edson. Those weren't available, and they're like, we have some in Paris Island. I'm like, where the fuck is Paris Island?
Wait, hold on. Didn't you and Brock get promoted to corporal on the same day on our way back from Afghanistan?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so you had, because I know I was still a Lance, and I didn't have like
Cutting
when you
score.
had to be an NCO to go to the like speak to the monitor about getting orders, right?
Yeah, and I think and you had to have 2 years. I don't know about being an NCO. It sounds about right, but you also had to have 2 years left on your contract, and that's where most of the
Okay.
guys couldn't do it because we signed this like G20 contract where you have five. So
Yeah,
after the
I did
pump,
that.
like we still had 2 years left.
Yep.
The second one, and so it was like perfect timing. And so they're like, "Oh, Paris Island." I didn't know where the fuck that was, but I was like, "Sure," I'm like, "I'll go." And I was like leaving the monitor's office, and I like passed my platoon sergeant, and I'm like, "Peace." Like I got orders, man. I'm out.
No.
And that's like, and that's how I remember it. It was like once you got those
Just
papers, it's like
just
your
like
golden
that.
ticket, dude. It's like a
Yeah.
DD-214, but you're like going to somewhere else.
Oh,
Uh,
that was like my saving grace when I talked to Buckner about this. I sat down with Buckner not too long ago. That night before I went to infantry squad leaders course, like I had the papers saying that I was supposed to leave the following morning and report to Camp Pendleton by like 12:30 or something or 1 o'clock, 1300. And the night before I went through the barracks and I was taking everybody's garbage cans and trash bags and whipping them off the third deck of the fucking barracks. Bro, it's just duties chasing me. I'm fucking hiding under cars and shit, running around. Guess who the fucking duty is? It's fucking Buckner. He's the one that was the fucking duty that night.
oh
And so
yeah,
he knows
yeah.
it's me. He's like, Giuliano, I know it's you. I'm like, it's not Giuliano.
Oh, Buckner, he's
But
still in, isn't he?
anyways, the next day, that Gunny Garcia guy, he's like telling me to come to the company office, blowing my phone up. I'm hungover as fuck. I'm like, I'm not getting out. I mean, it sounds so bad. This really does sound so bad. I'm like, I'm not. I don't fucking care. He's like, I'm gonna beat your ass. Like, I know you're gonna fail infantry squad leaders course. Like, you're a fucking bum. And I was like, I don't care, man. I was like, I'm going to camp.
Yeah, you got your orders, dude. Yeah,
So but hey,
yeah, that's how.
let's take a quick break real quick. I'm gonna refill my water, take a piss,
All
and
right. Yeah,
we'll
same.
come back and keep going, all right? So
I'm gonna
that
get my
was
charger.
all right. Stand by, guys. We'll be okay. I'm back with Michael Matter on the Pressing Forward podcast, and sometimes I'm so silly that I just start talking like when we get these going, and I forget to record it. And we were just talking about video games, and after we had come back from that second deployment, you and I were roommates. Did we have another person in our room?
Oh man, I can't remember.
I don't think. Oh, you know what? And was it Light that got put in our room?
Oh,
Because
that might make sense.
I think Light got put in our room at
Yeah,
some
Jesse.
point. Yeah. I didn't like Light at first. For a long time I did not like him.
Well, because he seemed entitled at first, but he
Yeah,
came around.
he did. I talked to him to this day, so he seems to be doing really well. He's actually back on 29 Palms right now, working for a company. I got a job offer with the same company, and I just like I wanted to go so bad. I just
The
turned it
IED
down.
stuff.
No, not IED stuff. It's this new, I don't know if I'm like, I don't know. It's like, it's a new contract that the Marine Corps is taking on at an alternate way of training. It's like the new Miles gear system, or,
Oh,
like
okay.
like for
Yeah.
like laser tagging basically. So, um, I
Yeah.
would be like one of the subject matter experts that like train guys in the field on how to use. I mean, it's not the most lucrative job. It was like 60 grand a year, but I mean, I just wanted to do something that like got me away from the everyday bullshit and thinking that I'm like one of the boys again, or I don't know.
There's a lot of stuff out there, a lot of opportunity that a lot of people don't know about. So,
I I
um,
I just can't. I'm so complacent now with like my job and everything I have, thinking that my kids need to stay at this school, and I don't want to be the guy that like leaves his family to go to work, or like I mean, it's just my kids that I'm worried about. It's like their mom and I are whatever, but uh I don't know what else. It's just I want to do something like that again so bad, and not in the capacity of like I need to go back to get some, like
mhm.
I want to do it in the sense of like just living that, like keep sharpening that, sharpening that spear tip in all avenues that I possibly can, and being proficient with things, and like working a training program or being a part of something where I'm implementing things and being able to coordinate, or I don't know. I just I miss
No,
doing that kind of thing.
I think everybody is like you, and I mean, I sure was. Like especially after we got out, there's that sense of that longing for like being in an environment that's similar to that, and that's why like a lot of people struggle is that they don't feel, they lose that like sense of camaraderie and that brotherhood and feeling like enabled. I think people just get stagnant. I mean, I sometimes I feel like I'm alone in the fact that I always feel like like I'm always on the go and trying to find the next thing to do. But I think everybody's like that, and that's when they like just kind of lose themselves, is because they just get in a rut and they get into just a routine, and they just forever miss it, and then they just constantly miss it because they never find anything that replaces it. So,
Yeah, no, I do. I mean, I've lived it. I felt it. I went through all that shit, and sensing, or like yearning for a sense of camaraderie, a tribe. Like I really, really missed all that shit, dude. Just being a part of something that made me feel like bigger than myself. I know that's like so cliche to say, but it's like with the
no,
boys, you guys got this thing, you're doing something, you're going above and beyond. Like, and if you actually took the training for what it was, um, sometimes it wasn't always the best. We didn't always get allocated having like a shit ton of rounds. Like there was times we did, and then there was times you're like butter jam and like doing like stick clear houses, and you're stacking up on like a doorway to a Connex box, dude. Like you're like, oh, using your imagination, creating things, doing these white space training uh areas, and you got some guy that's gonna give you a class on fuck, I don't know, like the 240, the saw. You're gonna go to the armory and pull. Like if you take advantage of all that stuff and you see like the things the guys are doing out there, like you can make the most of your experience and set yourself up for something that is a more prestigious thing in the Marine Corps. Transfer to Army Special Forces. Go try to be a fucking Navy SEAL. Excuse me. Go be a fucking pilot. Like take.
still hear me?
Yeah, I can. I hold on.
Okay.
I let me switch these headphones real quick because I don't think that these are gonna.
Those are the old
Uh,
school Xbox ones. Oh
no,
no, those
well,
aren't
yeah,
bad.
these
The
are
Turtle Beaches.
no, Astro A10.
Oh, those are good. Those are good headphones, man.
Hold on, let me see if this works. I apologize. Can you hear me?
Oh, dude, I can hear you like 10 times better too.
Oh, really nice. Okay, hold on. Maybe I should just use these all the time.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, I'm using Bose right now.
yeah, that's what surprisingly, that's what these are. These are Bose, but they're not like Quiet Comfort or anything like that. They're very old freaking
Oh,
Bluetooth
workout
workout
headphones.
headphones. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've obviously you kind of know like my story, but like um, I right off the bat, man, like I got out and I was struggling. Like I went to school just to go to school to make money, and on the GI Bill, and I truthfully I only went to school because I needed to make some money, and the
Yeah.
GI Bill was there and it existed. And so I just in that whole time, dude, I got a job at Home Depot. I lasted like 5 months. Like I was miserable. Then I got a job at Best Buy. I lasted like 3 months. Imagine me working at fucking Best Buy
Uh,
at the front. Dude, I was the guy at the front, like the loss prevention guy that like keeps people from stealing. And I just like I was so out of my element, and like I was like, this is it. This is life after the Marine Corps. Like I
yeah.
can't survive this. Like I cannot hack it. Um, but then I got a job as a bouncer, and that's when like I got a little bit of that spark back. Um, and soon after I went back to Afghanistan to contract, and I felt that like connection again, that camaraderie. You're surrounded by guys that are just like you, like different branches, of course. But everybody's like combat veteran, and you're back in that element. It feels like you just snap back into it, but you're wearing a Hawaiian shirt, you got a beard.
Yeah.
Um, I loved it, dude. I loved, absolutely loved it. Great opportunity. I told you all about it. You were close to doing it.
I was like right there. I backed out and bitched out of it. Not that one, I knew I wasn't gonna pass a drug test, and two, I like really started to contemplate like on my kids. I was like,
yeah, I didn't
ah
have that.
man, it's like if I didn't have the kids, I because I when I didn't have the kids, I went to a WIPS pre-qualification course. I went and did this like
Mm,
high threat executive protection program that was like a pipeline where you do everything from um corporate and celebrity protection, corporate or evasive driving and doing all these things from foreign weapon systems to, I mean, all the instructors were prior soft dudes, that's not,
yeah,
they're
yeah.
all Navy SEALs, PJs doing, like I got to do the fucking live tissue lab, did all this shit to prep us for it. We didn't shoot any belt feds. I was kind of bummed about that. I'm like, yo,
Hmm.
man, where's the fucking belt fed at? Like, it's on the qualification course, but like it was in California that we're doing this, and the I guess they didn't have the licensing for whatever. Anyways, like we got to shoot all kinds of shit. It was great. We got competition. You're with guys from all different branches. Like the Marines excelled over everybody, obviously. I mean, like it's not even funny. Um,
Yeah.
they actually asked me afterwards, they were like, okay, like we really need you right now. Like, would you be interested in joining SEAL Team 6? I was like, I mean, honestly, guys, I'd rather go back to Colorado and work like a shitty security job than join SEAL Team 6. So that's what I did. I turned it down. I turned down an invitation to be one of the most top tier operators in the world, you know?
I I feel like that was like my first because I got to teach at Paris Island, which is great. But when I was at WIPS like school, I was training with the O'Gara group in Montrose, Virginia, and I think that was like my first taste of like wow, like I feel like I feel like a cool guy.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm fucking raking money. And I wasn't even the money yet. I was just training at the time, which is still more money than I've ever seen. And I'm shooting 240s out of the back of a Suburban while it's driving, and I'm like learning how to drive from a Formula One race car driver. And like, like you said, the training is like crazy. Like that's why my gamer tag for video games is LARP Raider, and we always joked around because we got this crazy training. I mean, so sophisticated. The room entry tactics and everything was just so like so in depth. But we knew like we'd be going to the Afghan embassy and like playing Xbox. You know what I mean? Like not we're on a React team, so we call ourselves LARP Raiders. Like we're LARPing. We're essentially like pretending to be
Yeah, yeah.
like we get the most badass training in the world at the time. Like we're literally like some of the best training. But like we know we're gonna go like sit on our ass and like eat at the embassy. I had like brunch on Sundays at the embassy and had like the best food ever. Like we had personal chefs that would like cook whatever we wanted. Like 3 gyms. I mean, it was a great
Dude,
life.
I should have done it. I mean the money thing, that's the big one of the biggest things for guys that draws them in. I mean, obviously it sounds like you really took hold of the camaraderie side of things too and like developing
Oh yeah,
relationships with dudes, but when you get out and you're coming from like even being an E, did you get out as a sergeant?
yeah. I got out as I
Yeah.
picked up sergeant on terminal.
Okay, well, I mean,
Yeah,
even then, like being in
so it counted.
E3, E4, E5, making like what, 2,500 bucks a month or something like that, maybe 3 grand a month as a sergeant, something along those lines, and then you get out as a contractor and you just did 8 years in the Marine Corps and you made like 2 years of your,
Bro,
I mean,
I'm
I don't
making
know,
six
six,
grand a
yeah,
paycheck, tax free, dude.
yeah.
Just like straight checking. And and that's why I was telling you, and I try to tell a lot of vets like that we're getting out and like struggling. I'm like, dude, you got the combat time. Like, if obviously family's different, it's hard with a family, but like you could go overseas and just do like 2 rotations. I mean, there's contracts in Afghan, there's not anymore, but there's contracts in Mogadishu, Jerusalem, Basra. I mean, like some of these contracts are paying way more money than what Afghan was, and you could do like 2 rotations and for a down payment on a house. You go buy a Porsche from a dealership, go do a contract and pay it off. Like, I mean, some guys were doing that, and for me, I did it for 2 years, and it gave me it really. I think like I am so thankful for the Marine Corps, like because the Marine Corps like taught me to grow. The Marine Corps gave me the education and the ability to go to school for free. And then I went to school, and because of that, because of the school and because of the Marine Corps, I got to go to Afghanistan and contract. Because I was an instructor at Paris Island, I got to teach in Afghanistan and run belt feds and teach people how to shoot. And then because of that, like I mean, everything like stepping stoned, and it was none of it. I owe it all to the Marine Corps. Like
Yeah.
none of it would have happened. I wouldn't. I don't think I would be here today right now flying a Black Hawk if I never joined the Marine Corps, because that was like the leg I had up on other candidates who I was boarding against, like because I was a prior service guy, and they like need that for the organization right now. So like everywhere I am, I'm sitting in a house that I paid for because of the Marine Corps and the skills it gave me, and like I got my dog, like I have a great, amazing girlfriend, like I have everything I could, like I feel happy, and it's because like I took what the Marine Corps gave me, and I struggled like everybody else does when I got out, but like I pursued the next level. Like I
Okay.
just,
So,
you
okay, I
know,
want to you say that then. You say that you struggled when you got out. Like, tell me some of the things that you're struggling with.
oh man, when I got out, dude, it's a funny story because
Well,
I was
hold on. Should we, before we
yeah.
get into the getting out, like, we completely skipped an entire fucking deployment in Afghanistan. We said that it wasn't like
Oh yeah,
kinetic
yeah.
and, there wasn't any, I mean, there was a couple guys that got into some gunfights. There's some IEDs blowing up fucking trucks and, it's like, all right, but, for the most part, we just, uh, you know, ran around. I mean, okay, do you remember this one time that you asked me if I wanted a piece of gum, and then it led into something like a lot bigger than just a piece of gum?
Was it dude? Remind me. It's
Oh,
probably something
dude, come
gay.
on. We were in it. I mean,
No,
do you
I
not
remember when
remember?
like I remember when like Taylor. Uh, is this
Oh,
the
come
Taylor
on.
story?
Don't, no, no,
Because that was
no,
gummy,
not
dude. That
that.
was like
Yeah.
a.
I'm talking about when you gave me a piece of gum when I went to talk to the fucking commandant of the Marine Corps.
Oh, dude.
Do you not
I didn't.
remember that?
I didn't remember me giving you the gum. Did I give
You
you the
had
gum?
you had that icebreaker fucking square pack with the little square
Oh
cubes,
no,
and it wasn't
dude.
even anything. I mean, I don't know. I've told this story. I don't even know how many times. I
I
got the
so have I, but I
I
forgot that I gave you the piece of gum,
yeah,
dude.
you
I
were the
totally
guy. You
forgot.
were sitting right there. You were next to me, and you're like, I
But I
don't know.
think I
You oh,
told you. I told you to take it out. Didn't I tell you to take
I
it
don't know.
out?
You might have, but I was
I
like,
think
I don't
I
know. I was
because
nervous,
you were
dude.
nervous. You were
Yeah,
nervous. Yeah, you were
yeah,
nervous, and your just mouth was fucking wide open when you were shaking his hand or some shit
yeah,
or grabbing the coin.
yeah.
Oh my God. I tell people that story all the time, dude. That you were on like the Marine Corps Times, weren't you?
It
Like,
was it was on like the front page of like the First Marine Division fucking
yeah,
something,
that's right. That's right. Oh
and
my God. You got blasted by everybody after
yeah.
that shit, dude.
Well, that's
That was funny.
that was like Sergeant Major Elliott. He was like, because I was gonna get that combat meritorious promotion to corporal. Like I was getting it.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Lowe, I remember him. He's like, Sergeant Major Elliott asked me how many times what I shot on the rifle range. I told him expert, and he's like, "How many times you been to the rifle range?" And I was like, "Once, Sergeant Major." He's like, "One time. You've been to the rifle range one time." And I was like, Yes, and these asked me why. It's because that night you lost your tooth. We got blackout drunk the next morning. Some
Yes.
I was supposed to go to the rifle range. I was
Oh, that's
incapacitated.
right.
My one of the guys in my previous platoon, he was a sergeant. He said he came in. I puked all over myself. I pissed all over the place. He got me he got me in the shower and like cleaned me up and like tried putting my camis on and I was like, fuck it. I could not stand up and he was like,
Dude,
you're not
I
going.
I remember that not what was last thing from that night. I remember like looking back on it, it just reminds me of like a movie scene or something. But I just remember like I must have heard screaming. I mean, there's so much going on at the time, but then I look up and I can't remember if you were on like I think the first deck or the second deck, but you were just butt naked, dude, just running down the cat. I think your pants or something were on your head, like you were wearing it as a hat. And then I think you jumped in I don't remember what corpsman it was, but I'm pretty sure you jumped in someone was like in the shower
Yeah,
and you
no,
like
someone
jumped
was in
in
the
there.
shower and I like booted I literally kicked their door kicked it open, like ripped their shower curtain off and I'm like, move over,
Oh man, I think you were like on that. I think you were. I can't remember if you were talking about like gay chicken on that other podcast that you were
Oh
on.
no, no, definitely not. I haven't brought up that gay chicken story in a long time, dude. Come on.
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah.
I used to like wake up. I used to like you'd be taking a nap on that second Afghan deployment, and I'd be like, I'd wake up, and I would feel something, like there's something in my fucking on my cot, like with me, and I would just turn around and you just be laying there next to me, like fucking staring
Yeah,
me in the eyes, dude.
yeah, no,
Oh my god.
I
Or the baby powder fights and shit. Oh man,
oh,
it was
do you remember when we took that unit that we ripped with, they had that like chest of fucking hot sauce and porno mags and all this shit, and there was that hot sauce called like Da Bomb, and it had like a nuclear symbol on it, and we took those Jolly Ranchers and took a Q-tip and like painted the shit on the Jolly Ranchers and then handed them out to the Afghan kids when we were on
dude,
patrol, dude.
you better edit that one
Uh,
out, dude. There's a lot of shit we can't talk about. There's a lot of shit we can't talk
oh no,
about. Like
I'm fine.
Taylor, bro. Like what
Oh,
Taylor did, bro. For two.
I
Anyways,
mean,
man.
dude, they got around. They when we went out, I remember it was like I don't know. We went to the farthest fucking patrol base, dude. It was like Shirkala or Pagal or something, and they were like, "Yo, I heard you guys are sucking each other's dicks over there."
No, that was you and Taylor, bro.
Yeah,
That was the
dude, that
bat wing,
was
bro.
Taylor.
You
That was
remember the
not
bat?
the Batwing,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah, but you were.
He was
It
there was
was
like
your fucking
that
sweaty
was the
bat
first
wing.
day. That was the first day in country, dude. That was the first day. It was like we no, no, it was like the
Uh,
first time we actually went out on patrol. We got
yeah,
back and we're
yeah.
like, wait, because they made us wear those ballistic underwear and the
No, and
diapers.
I remember I ripped mine off and then
Yeah,
I
the
bundled up into a
oh,
ball and
it,
Taylor put the whole
the
thing
whole
in
thing
his
in his
mouth.
mouth. Oh God, yeah. And it was all for like some small sum of money, dude. I think it
It
got
was
up to
50
like,
bucks. It was
yeah,
50 bucks, dude. Oh, it was 50 bucks. Oh
yeah.
man.
They're
But
like,
that's
oh,
shit that's funny ass shit though. I tell people about that story all the time, dude. I'm like, Mike lick the bat wing.
no, I didn't lick the bat wing. Taylor licked the
Or
bat
yeah,
wing.
you licked
Yeah,
your bat wing.
yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
god. Yeah.
No, that's
But yeah, going back to deployment.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean
dude.
it was fun, but we were just fucking around the whole time almost, dude, is what I remember it as.
I mean, that
And then
deployment, I drank on my birthday on that deployment. Remember we went to Lake's wedding, or did you go to Lake's wedding before the deployment? Were you
no,
there?
I didn't go.
No, okay. But he gave us these flasks, right, for his wedding, and I filled it up with booze and stuffed it in my pack. I'm like, whatever. So on my 21st birthday, Brock, myself, and Taylor went into one of the mortar pits and fucking slugged this thing down real quick, thinking, oh yeah, because tomorrow we were supposed to stay. We're like, all right, you guys can just like chill tomorrow, lift. We're not going out tomorrow. Like, okay, for sure. So we're in the mortar pit slugging down this shit, and then you hear somebody yelling, like, "Where's everybody?" And I'm like, "Oh my God!" And they're like, "Oh yeah, we got to go search like 300 of those local nationals or whatever that were uh like working on the opposite side of
hmm
whatever they're doing. They like stayed in that little like bermed
I
off
remember.
area,
Oh, I remember
and
that
we
shit. We had
had
to
to
search.
go.
We had to search all the huts. Yeah.
Yes, we had to go in there and do that, and I'm fucking. It's summertime. I just drank some booze for the first time in like 4 months. I'm sweating profusely, and I'm kind of drunk, dude. And I'm fucking
I
just
remember that
yeah.
now, dude. Jesus Christ, I can't believe I forgot about that. I just had like a flashback, man. That's
Oh, I should
wild.
probably edit that out too. I probably shouldn't be telling people I fucking whatever. I don't give a fuck.
I mean, people were getting busted for, all kinds of shit on that deployment at Castle. Remember that?
Yeah, yeah, dude. People
Yeah.
were just fucking smoking weed, smoking hash, smoking
Yeah.
opium, like no care. Like I mean,
Yeah.
everybody, the only people that seemed like they were, oh no, even they were, I'm never, everybody was. Remember they were like everybody's getting piss tested, everybody's taking a piss test, and like the piss like got like warm, and they, like it was 100 and fucking 35 degrees outside. They're
Yeah.
transporting it in some fucking 7 ton or whatever the fuck, like there's
Yeah.
so stupid. But um Afghans though, remember when we were with Kirby and the PMT team at the castle and they were smoking opium or hash or something. We put on the first Transformers and they had never seen. I mean, you're blowing these guys' minds. They're like getting scared when these Transformers are like, "Wah, wah, ah, ah, ah." They're like, I'm telling the Terp, I'm like, tell them
Uh,
that shit is real in
in
America. And
America. Yeah.
like, no, no. I'm like, tell them that this is real in America. Like tell them this is real. And they're like, no, 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 ma, or what do they say? Fucking no good, no good. Like this
Double,
is no
double,
good.
no good. Double,
Yeah.
no good. Jiggy, jiggy, double good.
I like,
Yeah.
oh God, go. We remember we went up to that company or that there's a different company from a different battalion that was like north of us. We went to go out to their patrol base and or it was a cop or something. It was a nice place, but on there they had porta shitters or it was oh no, no, no. It was like there was doors on it. But anyways, there's signs that show like the Haji squatting like over the shitter and shitting. It was a literal like stick figure thing with shit all over the place. It had an X that said no good and then whatever it was in Pashtun or fucking whatever. And then there's one of them like sitting properly on the toilet. And it was like double good.
Double good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
double good.
Oh, I still say that shit sometimes. I catch myself saying it. Or I still say, dude, some of my, I'll just say this. Smishmorshman is still a big part of my
Smorgasbord.
life. It's,
Dude, I found that magazine that I wrote it on. Like I stole all those magazines that deployment, like an
remember
entire sea
people
bag.
people were like, who the fuck is writing Smishmorshman? Like everywhere.
I remember one
It was
time though,
like
I
all
swear
over
to
the
God,
place.
I swear to God, there was one time it popped up and everybody, it was like either gonna be like me, you, actually, it was probably like our whole platoon. Like we were just bad people, dude, just getting in trouble. And they're like, I know it was you, Giuliano. And I was like, I swear to God, dude, this is the one time I didn't do
I
it.
think it was on a porta shitter or a
Yeah, it
wall by a porta
was.
shitter.
It was. But
Yeah.
no, that's so funny. Remember when Sergeant V was like trying to yell at me about the gum thing, and I could hear Brock and outside the tent like laughing. So I'm like, I've got like three sergeants yelling at me, and I'm in the hut, the hooch, and they're like, "You fucking idiot! What are you thinking?" And I can't hold it, and I'm laughing. I'm crying so hard, I'm laughing, dude. And they're like, just get the fuck away from us." Oh
Oh,
man.
I can't believe you did that still.
I know, neither can I. It was interesting to say. Some people are like, I don't find why that story is like funny or whatever, and I'm like,
Because they don't,
because
people don't understand what a commandant
yeah,
is.
I
Like,
know, I know.
yeah. I'm
It's
like, it's a big fucking deal, dude.
yeah. Okay, so whatever. We go through a deployment. We had some funny ass times, like, getting on each other's nerves, wanting to beat the fucking shit out of some people. I'm sure everybody
Yeah.
wanted to beat the shit out of me at some point for, it's like, okay, Giuliano, you run around naked with a belt of 5.56 and a belt of like 203s
Yeah,
across your
that's right.
chest. It's like it gets old after a while, dude. Like it was funny the first 100 times, but it's kind of over with. It's like
Uh,
but anyways, that, we go through these experiences together, the guys on your first deployment, guys that you've been to boot camp and ITB with, that you maintain relationships with. We go through all these different, obstacles of being, engaged in environments that we're not used to. We're separated from our family. We're traveling here. We're doing this school. We're going to the field here. And it's just like this mashup of just chaotic, like organized chaos, if you will, where it's like, oh, we know what we're doing, but we don't at the same time. And it's always rush, 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 hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. So you go to get out of the, oh yeah, you said that you were a marksmanship instructor, so that brought you to the end of your
Mhm.
time in the Marine Corps, correct?
Yeah, I did 2 years there.
Yeah, and then and
I
then
think
you
actually 2.5 years there.
in what year is this? This is like 2015, 2014.
I got out. Yeah, it was I got out in April 18th, 2015.
Okay.
So yeah, it was a little over 2 years, I think. But I'm still actually close with a lot of those guys. I just played Call of Duty with like one of those guys I was with.
Nice.
And all those guys too, like the table two instructors. I'm sure you remember table two. They like picked all of like the infantry guys to do table two, and so like I still felt that like connection while I was at Paris Island, and still like it was still it was like the same but different. Like the living in the barracks at Paris Island, it was like, dude, there's like no rules. I mean, that's all I'll say about that.
Yeah.
But we had a good time. Still really close with a lot of them. A lot of those guys are like Marja vets, or like
They
there were some hard dudes.
came from like six Marines, like 1-6 or 3-6,
Yeah,
3-8
yeah,
and shit. Something. Yeah.
yeah. A lot of them were some super salt dogs, and we had a good time. It was fun, like teaching recruits and passing on. And I obviously like owned my skill sets there and got real dialed in with like teaching. That's when I caught the itch to teach, and I really enjoyed it. So I actually extended there, so I could teach longer. Went to the Crucible, did the black shirt thing, and like I still teach like to this day. Like I as far as teaching goes, I even taught at a university here. I taught ROTC. I was a military science instructor. Like I taught all different things, not just weapons, but I taught all kinds of different skills. And obviously, I taught as a contractor weapons in Afghanistan, and now as like an officer, like I still teach belt feds all the time. Like when we go to the range, I'm like running a line, like a dry fire line, and like when I was a butter bar, like people were like, who the fuck is this butter bar like teaching classes, but they like didn't know anything about me. And
Yeah.
then it definitely gave me a skill set that is appreciated, and you know I love my time there. But time came to an end there, and then just like everybody else, got that piece of paper and that DD 214, and went back home, and went to school. So
Yeah, and that jumping around that you had done, right? Like you were like kind of unsure of what you wanted to do. You did the
oh
contracting side of things, you got to go out there and fail. I don't want to say fail. You got to see what you didn't want to do, right?
I failed 100%. Like
Yeah.
when I got out and I was in school, like I was 100% lost. I mean, at that time, I didn't know I was going to be contractor. Wasn't even on my mind. I went to school for global security intelligence, like because it was the only relatable degree I could get at my university. Like I literally went to school to get a degree I didn't even want to get because it was the only thing I could do that was close to being infantry. And then like I was trying to look at like 3-letter agencies to go to, or like even being a cop. There was a time where I almost became a cop, and like I just didn't know what I wanted to do. I mean, I was bouncing between jobs. Like I now became a bouncer making like $10 an hour, and I was happy, but I had no clue what I was going to do. Um, and I mean, I was drinking. I could say I was drinking very heavily. Like I was like lost, like going between girlfriends, just like never satisfied. I never felt satisfied. And the only release I had was like working out. I started working out like a lot more, even more than it was before. And but it was at that time it was a lot of drinking, it was a lot of working out, which is
Okay,
funny that those
let me ask you
mix.
this. Let me ask you this. Do you feel that you had used the working out, like no, like did you notice that you were drinking a lot at the time, or was that after that you noticed you're drinking a lot?
So I was drinking the most before I started working at the bar.
Okay.
Like while I was working, like when I bounced between when I went from Home Depot to Best Buy, like just trying to, I was just getting scraps, dude. I was trying to survive. Like, I'm making no money. I'm living off the GI Bill. I'm going into debt. Like I went into pretty massive debt at the time. Um, I didn't know what to do. I was living in a nice place called Prescott, Arizona. It's a beautiful city. Still
Yeah.
go there all the time, but like I mean, I was totally lost, and people could see it. I mean, I could see it. People could tell I wasn't happy. And then and that's actually how I became a bouncer was because I was spending so much time in the bar that I actually like stopped a fight in this bar in Prescott. And then when this new bar opened up called Far From Folsom, they called me in like to interview because they knew like I was just unhappy and I was drinking a lot. And then I got that job and I worked Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, which kept me out of the bar because
Yeah.
I was working. Um, and I still don't get me wrong, I still drank, but at that like I didn't drink as much because I had to work. And
Yeah.
I felt I started feeling more enabled. I started to feel healthier because I had like a vice. Like having a rowdy job like that
Hmm.
was like a vice. Like I got fights all the time, altercations like daily, which sounds weird to say, but like you come from like a Marine Corps combat environment with like, high energy and you go to like be a bouncer at a bar, it's like there's some carryover there. And so I was like happy. Like I got that like itch. It was like I got to scratch that itch every once in a while. and and that's when things like started coming together for me. I did really well at it. I got promoted to head of security there, got a raise. And that's when like I really started to like own in myself and like start searching, like soul searching for something bigger because I knew my graduation date was coming up. I'm like, I'm gonna be out of money. Um, and I honestly like put in like a blanket application for like a bunch of not three letters, but a bunch of contract companies. And one picked me up, Aegis, we called it at the time Aegis. Garderwold Federal bought them. But and that's when I found out I was leaving and I got the job and I was like just ecstatic. But I was still lost though, don't get me wrong, because I knew it wasn't a long-term thing.
Yeah.
So but
So
yeah, man, I mean I struggled though for sure.
yeah, no, it sounds like you've got a few ups and downs, some uncertainty with what you're gonna decide on doing, school
Hmm.
coming to an end and you're like, I gotta find something better to do, and contracting seems like the easiest thing that you're able to do. You already,
It's all I could do,
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
unless you want to go work manual labor or continue to work at a fucking, bar and make, below minimum wage. But
Yeah.
you did the contracting thing. You talked about that. You guys are in Kabul. You're doing instruction, teaching guys how to run belt feds, and you know, you're still on the QRF team, right? Like that's the kind of thing you did. You're just like a QRF element.
Yeah. So I was what's called it's called PSS. So I first I did PSS, which is like protective services for like the State Department. So I did like embassy on an embassy react team. So if like anybody attacked the compound, like the embassy, we were like the plug and cordon like team. So like if they happen to make it through the local nationals and
Yeah.
then they happen to make it through the Gurkhas and they happen to make it through the wall, which is nearly impossible, then we would be like the last stand essentially, and we'd like just. I mean, 99% of it, like I said, was playing Call of Duty. There was like IEDs and mortars and like a lot of IDF, duck and cover went off all the time, and but nothing like it's like if you've ever seen the movie 13 Hours, it's like the first half of that movie. Those guys are like playing video games and working out and like
Hmm.
calling home, and that's like how it is. Very unique. There's very unique situations. That's why they made a movie about it, where like shit hits the fan because it's like a national ordeal if like
Yeah.
contractors actually have to do the job. I did that for a year, and then the second year I was called a PSSFI, but primarily just taught. We were still like supplemental to the React team, but I got to change out of like a tactical uniform and wear like Hawaiian shirt and jeans to work, and like I just worked on the range all day, every day. Taught Gurkhas and expats all the weapons that are in the State Department arsenal, like M4 with ACOG, EOTech, Glock 19, 240, and 249, rudimentary tactics, like basic tactical knowledge. Had to go to BFOC school at the Guardian Center in Georgia to like learn like foreign weapons and like more advanced weapon skills, but the actual instruction was pretty base level, like running a belt fed and like basic M4 qual, Glock 19 qual. But Gurkhas were the most trouble, like teaching how to shoot because they're so little and they're short and fat, so they're terrible at shooting the belt feds. But did that for a
They
year.
can't get up high enough on their tippy toes to
No,
like shoulder it at the
no.
they're
They
like
say I would say two because I would have to sit on them. There's a picture on my Facebook somewhere of me literally sitting on a Gurkha with my knees jammed up into their lats. So I'm like sitting on their butt. My knees are jammed up into their lats, and I would have to do that to. I'm probably
prevent
not
them.
supposed to say this, but if they failed the qual, they would go home, and then they go home. The company can get fined, like if we lose Manning. So like we are there to get them to pass, and
Yeah.
we taught them how to. There's some of them were just like we had to demonstrate proper like mounting a belt fed, and it's the Marine Corps doesn't teach you this shit. Like the Marine Corps teaches you how to spray and pray. It's like not for accuracy, like mostly in the Marine Corps. As a contractor, your shoot is like it's a point target, dude. Like you're shooting,
Right.
3-inch tombstones
I
at like
know
12
I
meters.
know the course of fire.
Yeah, it's
For
a pain in the ass.
it is, but hey, let's take a quick break there with the Gurkhas. We'll be right back with Michael Matter on Pressing Forward podcast. Yeah, hold on. We're back. We're back with Michael Matter on the Pressing Forward podcast, and I believe we just left off talking about your time doing some contracting stuff. So, do you want to talk us off there, and then let's get to where things go after that.
Yeah, yeah. Real quick, just worked with the embassy and the State Department for a couple of years. I think we're talking about that. I
The
year of
Gurkhas, the Gurkhas.
yeah Gurkhas. I taught a lot of Gurkhas like expats. And yeah, the last year there was just a lot of training, mostly just running gun drills and running them through the range. A lot of good times. But I was ready to settle down. Really wanted to get out of the life to an extent. Um, Try to find something that was. I knew there was more to my life than just like running guns and that kind of atmosphere. So I wanted to test the waters a little bit. So yeah, my boss flew me out. I got an interview at APS, local, a huge power company in Arizona, at a power plant, and did the nuclear security gig. And I don't think we talked about this before, but as soon as I left contracting and I got into this normal job, I started to fall like deeper again. Like I started to kind of lose myself a little bit. Everything was good as far as like finances and I had a house and like a nice truck and like everything was fine in that nature, but I didn't feel okay. And so that's when I was lacking that feeling again. That's when I pursued the army. And I instead of going back to another contract, I landed that job, but I lost myself. So I walked into a recruiter's office, and I wanted to chase that dream of flying military helicopters. And I got picked up, and I got lucky. I got lucky with a board interview and a couple different interviews for federal OCS, and became a candidate. And now I'm here. So I
Well, I know
I
you gave
lost
us.
it.
I'm sorry. I know you gave us a quick overview, or when you and I were talking, you were basically trying to recruit me into the National Guard and like giving me a little insight on how guys can really do something if they're looking to give back. It's not just the infantry. There's a lot of different assets. There are a lot of different,
Yeah,
ways, avenues that you can take in the National Guard.
yeah. So I mean, not even just National Guard, just like I I think we were talking about it before. Like I always kind of had these ideas in my head of what I wanted to be and what I wanted to do, and I just never like pulled the trigger and really went after it until like contracting was one. But I kind of like I got the contract job because I just had the deployment time. I wasn't anything special. it wasn't really a dream to be a security contractor, but when I pursued the Army, I learned that like, wow, I can really like, all I had to do was just try. And it ended up being like a saving grace for me. Even when I was first just what's called M Day and I was just doing the weekends thing, being a pilot is different than other National Guard jobs. Like we come in throughout the week and we fly. Like we come in whenever you want and fly during the week. We also do the weekend thing and annual training, but like there are so many options in the National Guard that like you can do that's specific to what your dream is, and you can also be at home and have a semblance of a normal life, but still have your foot in the door and feel that like camaraderie and that sense of purpose. And I know guys who are airline pilots that are in the National Guard, right? But I also know guys who are engineers or cops that are in the National Guard. Like one of our company commanders is a Phoenix cop, and he's also a Black Hawk pilot. Like he has a normal job as a cop, but he's also comes in to fly helicopters throughout the week. It's like you can, and there's so many options for other jobs outside of aviation. Like really, the Army compared to the Marine Corps has so many more
Right.
MOSs.
Well,
Um,
and another thing you had mentioned too is the fact that some guys like have gotten out and they're claiming, they're getting their VA benefits. And is that something you'd mentioned, like possible waivers for different things that
oh
guys can
yeah,
get back
yeah.
in?
Guys always feel like now there's everything is obviously situational dependent. But there's always waivers, and there's I'm not going to sit here and say like a guarantee for everybody, right? But you're not going to know until you try. Pretty much 90% of prior service guys need to get a waiver. I mean, because we're old or we're broken a little bit. But you know, most of the guys get in now with waivers. Most of the guys and gals get in with waivers. There's guys that are in the National Guard that have ratings. You can be in the National Guard and collect VA disability. Like there's guys that are 70% plus that are still in the National Guard that have connected disability, and there's ways around that. It's just a matter of trying. And yeah, it might take longer than like your average like street to cedar
Yeah,
18-year old. But even that 18-year old probably lied through MEPS. But like you just go in open and honest and talk to somebody, like there's usually a way through it, and you're not going to know until you try. But
right.
outside of just the Army, it's like there's tons of options out there, like we were talking about. Yeah, you got a family, and that's something I never have had, and I don't have now. But so I have a little more movement in that nature, in that aspect. But man, like until I really kind of got over myself and out of that slump and thought, man, I could do this. Like I could see myself doing this. I'm gonna go try it. And then it just happened, you know?
Yeah,
And I feel like most of us that got out, like we're good people. Like we went through the shit. Like we're hard or hardened, and we're resilient. We're extremely resilient. And that goes a long way in like any path that you want to take. But yeah, the National Guard, nothing but good things to say about it. Not going to say it's good in every MOS. Like being in the infantry in the National Guard might be a headache. I just had to do like we just had a combined arms rehearsal with the infantry guys in Arizona. And it was funny because I was sitting back as an aviator and watching these infantry guys run through like they were going through, remember like the
like range 400 or
sand
something.
table, like going through a sand table,
Oh, okay. Like doing
like
like
briefing.
a rock walk
Yeah,
rehearsal of
yeah,
concepts. Yeah.
yeah. And I was just watching, and I was like talking shit the whole time to like other aviators. Like these guys don't know what the fuck they're doing. Like they're in different uniforms. Like they're not matching. Like
Oh,
the
that's
just like,
so ugly,
dude,
dude.
yeah. And but it's funny because everyone else is like, "What are you talking about, bro?" And I'm just like, "Ah, you wouldn't get it."
Yeah.
But then like, but yeah, it's for anybody out there that feels like that's something they're interested in, or not even just the Army National Guard, but like anything that you're just thinking in the back of your head, like I want to do that, like I want to open up this business, or I want like I didn't even know this was a thing until recently, and
Yeah.
now you're doing it.
Well, dude,
It's just like,
I just I made the Instagram like fucking 5 days ago, and I think you're like my third or fourth interview. You're like and I don't even I only have two videos edited or podcasts edited or whatever and put out there, but I've got a list, over on my little drafting table here with my setup of fucking 40 guys, a lot of them that we know and have
Yeah,
a different story and journey. A lot of guys, like there's guys on that list that have a fucking silver star. There's guys on that list that have never deployed to combat.
yeah. It's good to
Like,
get all of them out there.
yeah, if there's female, I got connected with a badass female Marine today. I talked to her on the phone while I'm driving at work, and she's got a hell of a career. Just like, okay, well, I mean, and it's a new perspective for me because I didn't really know shit about female Marines, and I was
That
upfront with
team.
her. Yeah, yeah, dude. I mean, I I was like,
We won't say anything else about it.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I told her, I was like, I'm not gonna lie to you and say that I was like some fucking saint and I never talked shit about female Marines and called them Wookiees and said that they were fucking, sluts or shit, like, like I've said some pretty derogatory shit about
Mhm.
females, Marines, females in general, done some pretty wild shit. I don't know. But I want everybody's perspective.
Yeah.
I'm not experienced on all these different things. I want to hear it. People need to hear it, especially the time and service and the sacrifice that was made during the global war on terror. It's like for 20 years, you got fathers and sons fighting and deploying and interacting in the same war. Young men and young women died for what reasons, to the ones to the left and the right of them, for their
Yeah.
country, for their families, and that's why I want to capture the individual perspective because the cog, the machine itself paints this picture, um, and people think that they know what it's like, or they see the movies, or they, you know, listen to a Navy SEAL talk about his experience, but what they don't know is like the Navy corpsman had a way
Hmm.
harder fucking deployment and operated on more casualties and was in more firefights than a fucking Navy SEAL, like,
Yeah.
and that happens. It does. So, um,
I wanted I think what I said before is I wanted people out there to know that like uh and edit this how you want. But like still in, like I'm actively in. So like but I want people to know like to know that I did struggle immensely. Like when I got out to find my way. And there's certain things that are left unsaid about that, obviously, due to the nature of what I do now. But like I'm right there with everybody else and I can relate to everybody else in that struggle. I just like I came out ahead, and it just took a lot of work.
well, I was gonna say it didn't just happen for you, like you
No,
put
it
the
took
work
years.
in. Yeah.
It took years. I mean, it was 5 years from the time I got out of the Marine Corps to me being back in. And you know, I I'm a 32-year-old first lieutenant. It's like I'm working alongside guys who are in their early 20s, you
Yeah.
know. But like that's what it took for me to get my shit together. So anybody
I
can do it. You just have to go after it.
Yeah, and that's the thing that we're trying to obviously bring awareness to here is that, if you've got something that you want to do differently and you want to change it up, your story, my story, everybody else's story, individually or collectively, paint a picture, and have a way of motivating people or getting them to, change their lives up. And that's personally what I think is one of the most important things because if we can impact the way to change the stigmas behind how people think and feel about veterans. And everyone's always going to talk shit or have their reserves, but there's like this mindset that they're broken toys, they're crazy, they can't move forward and make something of themselves. And I know like quite a few fucking success stories, and you're one of them.
Yeah.
So it's like that's why it's good to talk to you. It's good to get your insight and your perspective on things from going through the Marine Corps and all your things with transition and the jobs and school and the ups and downs to going to contracting and now you found yourself back in the military
Hmm.
and you're flying fucking helicopters. So I think that's a pretty cool fucking journey.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been it's not over yet either, man.
Yeah, no,
Probably
I
next week,
mean, yeah,
next week it's gonna be something else.
yeah, I
So,
know, and it's like that's,
yeah,
but there's more to come, like it's
yeah.
you're not giving up on the fact that you've got quite a few missions and journeys and adventures in front of you, and that's the best part about it. Because I was talking to another Marine earlier, um, once you realize that that's not part of like, well, I guess for you it's a little different, but once you realize that you've moved on from that part of your life and you start putting it into something new, like a different like whether it be going to the gym, doing jujitsu, finding a way to give back with nonprofit organizations, dedicating time to you, make family stuff, or going and you find alternate things to at different times of stress and different situations that take a little bit of that weight off. And, if you're continuing to compound on that by going to therapy and eating healthy, and which I don't always do, but it's not just post-traumatic stress. There's all these outside entities that play a factor in it with your job, your relationship, the things you're eating, the amount of sleep you're getting, and all this different stuff. And um, you know, you have every tool that you could look it up online. You can talk to it. You could talk to people about it. You could go to fucking VA approved courses that'll teach you how to do your diet and sleep and all this shit. But
Hmm.
you have every opportunity at your fingertips. And I like seeing that a lot of guys that I know personally are out there taking advantage of them. And you obviously have as well.
I have, and like we talked about before, I was afraid to do that before, but now I can say that I'm not, and I'm very familiar with all the options now, and it's the first thing I recommend to people to do. If I know they're going through something and I have to use that tool now, like as part of my daily career at this point, and it's used by so many people. But but yeah, I mean, I I could thank the Marine Corps for everything they did. But the one thing I kind of am upset about was that like culture they had us in of just discouraging getting help. It took years to break that, like to get that out of my system, but it's out now. So
Yeah, and that's a tough thing to get through as well. Like you don't want to make yourself seem like you've got it you don't have it figured out. Getting out of the Marine Corps for myself, like a 23 or 22 going on 23, um, thinking that I've got the world figured out and I don't at all.
oh no, no, still don't, man.
I
Still
yeah,
don't.
still don't,
I still, yeah,
and
I'm
with
still
like
all
the
over the place.
yeah, me too. And with the mental health side of things and with like this little journey of growing and changing, like I'm not a mental health therapist. I'm not a mental health,
Mm.
student or counselor or psychiatrist or psychologist. I'm just a dude that's gone through a bunch of different experiences and I feel like I've learned a lot from the programs that I've been a part of with the VA and nonprofits and been given the tools to effectively like find that way to push forward, make forward momentum, kind of get stuck and you feel like, oh man, nothing's gonna change, nothing's gonna happen for me. If you expect it to just fall into your lap and somebody to do it for you, like you're never gonna get anywhere until you get out there and you start putting yourself in a different, I mean, uncomfortable environments, like
Yeah,
what do we say? Like the shit, like get comfortable being uncomfortable. Like, you've
misery
got
loves
to,
company.
yeah, you've
Yeah,
got to branch out and try to do something different and engage in a different way. Because once you become stagnant, you become complacent. Like that's where uh that's where
it's
problems start
still,
happening.
and it's still like last couple of things. It's like when you were talking about earlier about like, oh, you're still in it. I mean, I'm not. Like, I went from running guns and you know doing all this what some people would think is high speed to like my 90% of my job is sitting behind a desk now, and so like I'm in a totally different element at this point. But even with that, like that satisfaction of like feeling more empowered, it's like in having that engagement that I missed out on while I was out is dude, I'm still the exact same person in a lot of ways that I was before, and that
Hmm.
I get stagnant. And when I get stagnant now, I mean, I could like go fly during the like all day during the day, and I get home and I'm like, man, I need something. I need to do something else. Like I'll find something else, whether that's like something as simple as a video game to play to break to get my mind out of like reality for a little bit, or doing a really good workout in the gym, or finding a new hobby. Like, dude, I got into fish tanks like, a year ago. Like I just like started, I bought a fish tank. Now I have like 4 fish tanks. Like I'll find something else to occupy my time and my mind, and like, you know, just to expand my knowledge on something, try to learn some new information, read a new book. Like I still get that way, even though I'm like, I do what I do, nothing has changed.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm still afraid that like I might feel stagnant and want to go chase some other crazy dream, but you got to keep yourself busy, man. Like you're doing the rolling, you're rolling around and you're doing this now. And it's like other guys just have to find a niche, like find a hobby, like a
Well,
cool hobby.
yeah, and that's why I revert back to the nonprofit organizations because they give like whatever it is that you want to do, whether it be mountain biking, fly fishing, hiking, kayaking, camping, shooting,
Buy a
fucking
fucking dog.
drinking, yeah, getting a, like and going to the like. There's so many different organizations out there that run events that, some of them I've been to, and they're like no booze or you got guys like just getting blackout hammered
Yeah.
at some veteran
Yeah.
event. Not the best thing, but um I don't know, this has given me a good little outlet to be able to talk to guys and people that I know and people that I don't know, get their stories, gather it. I'm grateful that people trust me with the intimate information to be able to
Hmm.
try to put it out there and make something of it. And it'll be interesting to see what comes.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%, man. I'm excited to see where this takes you too. So
Yeah, I mean, this is you're part of it now. You're documented as a part of it,
yeah,
so it's
we could spend 3 hours talking about, barracks parties or
oh,
gay chicken. So,
yes, yeah, true. Oh
so,
man,
but you had a
yeah,
question for me earlier, I think too, didn't
oh,
you?
I did. I asked you. Oh, well, I don't want it to seem like we're setting it up, and I basically fucked up the recording, so we talked for 45 minutes and I didn't
Yeah.
record. So we had to kind of take our way back through and get it. So
Yeah.
I asked Mike, I said, if you could take your experiences in the global war on terror and like the whole thing is what you played, the part that you played, and then your perspective on the whole encompassing thing, and describe that in one word for me, what would it be?
So without getting too political, which I won't do, it definitely feels the word I would use is fruitless. Because regardless of where you were or what part of Afghanistan you were in, like we all put in a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of hours, a lot of people lost friends, or a lot of people like went through divorces because of it, or they made a lot of sacrifice, regardless if that was, like how substantial it was to leave. And then for it to all go to shit right afterwards, it just, for me, that hit me kind of hard. It hit home for me because it's like, what the fuck did I do all that for? And yeah, to a degree, like you're there with your friends and you're there like having your friends backs, and that's like the majority of it. But a lot of times I feel like that's what we say now, because it a lot of times it feels like it was just fruitless. And I saw even more of it when I went back again as a civilian, to work over there, because I spent 2 more years there trying to build up the infrastructure, developing the embassy. All of this money that was dumped into it for us to just give it away.
Yeah,
Seeing them, without getting political, it's just like there's Bearcats in those videos of them going through the embassy that were ours, like our companies, and they gave up to Gaz and the rest of those patrol bases like within months of us leaving country. It's like that's how I feel, and it kind of hurt. It hurt me, to the core, to know that, we gave up a lot for it to just feel like there wasn't a huge purpose to it.
yeah,
But I still like to feel like I made a difference and a positive impact, on at least, to some extent, whether that could have been a little those little kids we took pictures with, or maybe made an impact on some of the ABP there, or the local nationals.
Sorry,
The local,
I'm not trying to
not
laugh, but
not not
do you
handing out
remember?
candy
Do you remember?
or piss bottles.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say, do you remember that night? There's a picture of you and I together at like whatever that ALP position was. You know, they had like that one guard tower and there was always a dude like doped out sleeping in it. But we go in there, it was like nighttime and they were like smoking joints and whatever, and then like you and I took a picture with it. There's this one guy on the end, and he's just ripped, but they kept being like, "Oh, Marine, you smoke hashish?" And no, no, Marine, no hashish, hashish, no good. And like deep down, I'm thinking, yes, I want to smoke that fucking hashish, but
Yeah, because we
that
were like fucking over it, dude.
oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. You know, like we're not supposed to be night patrolling, and then all of a sudden we park the fucking MRAPs like a couple clicks away from not even a couple. It was probably like 2 clicks away from like normally we pull up and like park our vehicles inside the fucking compound, and it's like, yo, why are we night patrolling to this fucking Afghan
Yeah.
compound? You know, like what the fuck are we doing? You really trying? Yeah, I don't know. It's just
Blame the platoon leaders, man. Blame the
yeah,
platoon leaders.
but
Yeah. Yeah, it
no.
just you feel I felt like I feel like that's where a lot of OEF guys come from, is like they feel like they have more to give, like they feel like they didn't give enough, or they feel like they have more to give. And you don't necessarily have to feel that way. Like I knew that's how I felt, and I struggle with it when I was like, I could have done more. Like I should have done more. I should have gone more places. Like um and everyone can give in their own way. Like if you want to, come back to the organization, you come back to the organization. You want to like you're giving back in your own way with this, like, or nonprofits. It's like there is plenty more to give in many other ways. If you, I was sadly I shouldn't have felt that way, but I felt like I lacked that. I didn't do enough at the time, and I don't think we'll ever get rid of that feeling. But that's what makes us who we are. Is we keep grinding, we stay resilient, and we're always going to chase that dragon no matter what. I'm always going to try to chase that dragon. I'll never stop quitting, trying to pursue something else. It's a toxic, never-ending cycle, but it makes us who we are. So,
Well, fucking A, dude, with a little motivating speech like that from a an officer, you know, like what not to end it on there. I can't be the fucking company first sergeant, and then there's gonna be a platoon sergeant, and then your squad leader is gonna have to say something to you. So we'll just we'll cut it off there with the officer leaving us with some words of advice. Mike, you know, like I really enjoyed having you on talking with me, and
yeah,
it seemed more like you and I are able to just bullshit
shoot the
and
shit.
you know but
Yeah,
we talked about some good shit and
yeah,
again I hope that if somebody sees it, it can make an impact, and that's the whole part of this, and that's the whole reason why you and I are sitting here right now talking about it. So hopefully you and I get to see each other pretty soon. I need to make the trip to Arizona and come pay you a visit, and I'm sorry that
hey man,
I haven't,
goes the other way around too. I need to do the same thing. So we'll
but
figure it out, and also any other time, man, you want to talk about something more specific, instead of like a broad picture, we want to narrow it down to like little things, feel free to give me a call. And I'll come on, like, talk about fucking one little thing for a never ending amount of time if we really wanted to.
are
So,
you trying to like make hint that you want to talk about me getting naked and see that one little
I
thing a
mean, we
bunch
could
of
talk
times?
about we
Yeah.
could talk about that, dude. We could talk about
Um,
Batman, Batwing, or
yeah,
but
okay.
but yeah,
Um,
anything, man. Just shoot me a call. I'm usually pretty available as long as I
yeah.
get my workout in. So
Well, hey, dude, I love you, and I'm glad that you were here, and thanks for your time. I really appreciate it, and I also thank you for the service that you gave to this country during your time in the Marine Corps, and how you continue to give your time for your country now. So it is appreciated, and there are people out there that still are patriotic and support that.
awesome, man. Yeah, I appreciate that. Don't hear it very often anymore, but yeah, anytime, man. We'll definitely talk soon, though.
All right, dude. Thank you. And that was Pressing Forward podcast with Michael Matter, United States Marine and Army Chief Warrant Officer. How does that go? What is it?
You can just say officer
Oh,
instead
you
of
can just say
you can just say regular
officer.
officer.
All right, hold on.
Yeah.
I'll Michael Matter, United States Marine and Army officer pilot that's whipping it around in the Blackhawk. So, Mike, thanks again. Take care, brother.
Thank you, man. You too.
See ya.